Testing, testing. Okay, should be good. I think we're good. We're already good. All right. So, I think that should have fixed it. What do you mean you don't hear me? You guys can definitely hear me. You can definitely hear me now. You can definitely hear me now. You can 100% hear me. Guys, there is sound. There is sound. It's working. It's working. All right? Now, just imagine that the stream was supposed to start at 7:25. All right? Just imagine that this was when it was supposed to start, and it was basically a seamless launch. All right? So, now that we got that out of the way, the usual. Yeah, we got the usual out of the way. Too late to pull a prank. Chat lag. Yeah, there's always lag. All right. So, last weekend, I'm going to let some people fill in and then start talking about the latest chapter. Oh, hey, Miriam, what's up? Here to stay and see the chaos. Also, we can hear it. Thank you. So, last chapter, I'm going to wait a second to talk about chapter 1023, because there's so much to talk about from chapter 1023. And there's a really, really good theory. Audio very low. You guys want me to raise the audio? Here, I can raise the audio. How about now? Think still a little bit better? Hello? Testing? Testing? I can raise it a little bit more. But any more than that, I don't want to hurt you guys' ears. I know how sensitive your ears are. Any little change in audio leads to a cavalcade of complaints. So I know you guys have very sensitive ears. Yeah, I know the audio is low, guys. Pole Mouse says, raise the volume a bit. You're too low, thank you. Opinion on Charlotte Pudding. God damn it. And it was submitted by some guy that says, I don't think the raid will fail. Guys, all right, here's the good news. So a really, really good theory coming out on Tuesday. I'm actually very excited for this theory. Not tomorrow Tuesday, next Tuesday, all right? Tomorrow's video is still a must-watch for other reasons, but next Tuesday I've got a really good video coming out. I would have, because when I thought of the theory, I would have rush ordered it to get it out tomorrow instead of next week, but I already had a video set for tomorrow, and it's kind of important that the video that goes up tomorrow. So at the very least, I think that the video that comes out next Tuesday, look out for a very good theory then. I'm kind of worried that some other people are going to get the theory out faster than me, because, that's just the way that things go, but we'll wait and see. I hope that no other YouTubers jump on it. But there is a really, really interesting idea. And to me, I think a lot of pieces fit for it. I'm really, really excited for next Tuesday's theory. So, high hopes that at the moment, I'm just hoping that nobody else puts up the same theory. Or at the very least, they don't put up the same exact reasons I do. But very excited for next Tuesday's video. So, I'm going to talk a little. I'm not going to mention too much about it, but it's related to 1023. A lot came out of 1023 that really made things click. So besides that, I'm in Britain, it's Tuesday right now. Okay, so besides that, let's just talk about briefly what happened this weekend, because I have some apologies that I need to make. So first of all, apologies to everybody who is interested in watching me watch Film Z, okay? I promised, and I promised that I really, really did want to watch it last Saturday, not because I wanted to watch the movie that bad, but because I wanted to get it out of the way. I did not want it to, be this hanging thing I gotta check off for a long period of time. So I wanted to get Film Z out of the way. Ninja Dragon says, your reaction to Film Z was amazing. So, for those of you who don't know what happened this weekend, I tried to stream on Twitch for the first time in a long time. And I think I realized what the biggest issue was. All right, the biggest issue was that when I started streaming, let me explain the full thing. All right, what happened was I tried to stream my reaction to Film Z. It went very, very poorly. I was trying to stream it on Twitch. There was a lot of lag, just general technical issues. Couldn't really load up the screen too well. Mike, last name undisclosed, says firepower / moves are really overused in One Piece. Yeah, I think that's one of the common go-to, extra abilities that characters tend to have in One Piece. Like, everyone and their mother can use fire abilities at this point. Go down the list in the crew. Who can't use fire abilities? Luffy, Red Hawk, easy. Zoro is using fire-based abilities ever since the Thriller Bark duel with Ryuma. Sanji, obvious. Frankie, he uses fire. He can breathe fire. Usopp, heavily fire-based. Nami doesn't quite use fire. She uses lightning. So no fire for Nami. It's really just Nami, Robin, and Chopper that can't use fire among the crew. Never mind. Jinbei and Chopper and Brook also. Okay, so it's what, 5 for 5? 5 Straw Hats can use fire, 5 Straw Hats can't use fire. It's generally just a very common ability. Like, it's not that tricky to use fire in One Piece. I mean, like, it's just a little odd to me that Oda is saying, okay, we need all these reasons for why Sanji can use fire, but we don't need a reason for why Kinemon can use fire. We don't need a reason for why Zoro can use fire. It's just Sanji that needs an explanation. Why can Luffy use Red Hawk? Right? So why is it that Sanji can use flames on command and we're making a big deal out of that versus all these other characters that can use fire regularly that we just don't care about them using fire? So, I mean, I'm not complaining that we're getting an explanation for Sanji's abilities because fire is obviously a bigger part of his moveset than the other characters I mentioned. But I'm just saying it's funny to me that Oda felt like after all this time he's got to explain, wait, aren't you guys confused why Sanji can use Diablo Janbei? It's like, if you're going to make him like a Lunarian, then does that make Luffy a Lunarian? Is Kinemon a Lunarian? Is Zoro a Lunarian? Everyone can use fire nowadays, bro. Adrian Joaquin says, if Lady Toki was the shadowy figure who helped the Scabbards, do you think she will de-age Momo back to his original age? Also, love that Film Z audio. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll get back to talking about Film Z in a second and what happened there, because I just got to clarify. And you know what? I didn't advertise the streaming of Film Z that well, so hopefully we'll get some more viewers for next time. Now, we actually got a surprisingly high amount of viewers for the first Film Z viewing, but, because it was surprisingly high, I was like, okay, what if I actually advertise this well and explain when I'm doing it? I wonder how many people would tune in. So, do I think she will de-age Momo back to his original age? I am still on the train that I like that idea. Depends how the time. If you need a character to bring back someone's memory, that's Pudding, right? You would expect Pudding to be the one to insert into, like, that missing piece that would fix that. So the Toki fruit, as far as we know, it doesn't have that effect, but we know for a fact that Bonnie's fruit has that effect. So I look forward to Bonnie, and I've believed for a long while that more supernovas will be making their way over to Wano. I don't think the raid will fail. Watch Tuesday's video, and then let's see how you feel. Watch Tuesday's video. All right, buddy? Not tomorrow Tuesday, next Tuesday's video, okay? It says, make me a moderator, or I'll infect you with... And you're trying to get me with the D's nuts jokes. Man. Guys, this is not early stream Morge. Oh, god damn it. What happened to... No. What if I turn this video capture off or on? Let me try this. Hello? Fuck. You guys can still hear me, right? Can you guys hear me? It's frozen, but you can hear the audio. Audio is bad, video is frozen. God damn it. Well, I don't want to start the stream again. Alright, let's see if we can do something here. You know what's funny is I have an Ethernet cable now. I've got an Ethernet cable now. I just decided not to use it for this stream yet, but I definitely should have. I want it to fix itself on its own, because I don't want to reload anything, and I don't want to start the stream again. TY says, hey Morge, have you heard of Uteron? He has a theory that 1031 is the chapter when Onigashima falls. Yeah, so I actually talked about that on last stream. That Uteron meant... So Uteron says that there's 3 options for what he thinks will happen on chapter 1031. Adrian Akeen says it's Film Z again. Yeah, so Uteron thinks that either Onigashima comes down, or we get the introduction to Vegapunk, or one other thing. There were 3 options. So, if it's possible that Onigashima comes down, then... Wait, let me try that. Then I think that would be the chapter when the raid fails. And it makes a lot of sense based on the fact that Uh, yeah, makes a lot of sense to me just based on the fact that 1032, if you go by the rule of 15s, would be the chapter when Act 3 ends. So, I don't know. I like that. I don't think the raid will fail, says Uteron. Ahaha. You're a funny guy. What are you guys seeing? Am I moving yet? Am I moving? No, I'm not moving. You know what? Maybe I gotta start this again. Oh wait. You guys can wait. So you can see my screen move, which means I can still do something. Power Ranger says, have they ever explained how Kaido escaped the world government? I believe they said he was captured several times by then. No, but it's actually very possible if you look at King's design that he was an Impel Down guard. That may have had something to do with it. Cigar Verk says, we're going to see Sanji transform. Zoro stopped Usopp from instigating him when Sanji was on fire at Thriller Bark. He said, stop or he might transform. Yeah, I mean, that would be kind of, that was a gag moment. I know what you're talking about. Back in Thriller Bark, he was going kind of crazy, but, I think that, that was more of a gag. I'm not sure. All right, let me try doing this. I'm going to get rid of this. Let me get rid of this. And try it again. You guys keep asking questions. Don't you worry about me. I'm just trying to add basically my webcam again. Add source. Oh no. What's happened? This didn't fix anything. All right. Let's see. What if I... No, this is frozen still. What the fuck? If I remove this, delete these. Okay. And one more thing. Let's add this. This doesn't work. God damn it. All right. All right, guys. How's the audio now? Audio's good. I'm moving on camera. I think we're back in action. All right. So, I want to show you guys something. Let me show you something. All right. See this? See this? It's an Ethernet cable. And I'm not using it. You want to know why? Because the Ethernet port, it's in the other room. So, you know what? For this stream, I was like, fuck it. It'll probably be fine. I don't need to get close to the Ethernet port. You know? Oh yeah, like the stream. Chinho Wong says like the stream. God knows we gotta like the stream to get the viewers back, because I imagine most people dropped off. So, Ethernet port, right? The way Ethernet ports work is you need to be close to that Ethernet thing in the wall or whatever. I don't know how they work actually. I don't know why I was trying to explain it to you guys how they work. But you need the Ethernet cord to hook up to something else that's related, okay? Or the modem. I think it connects to the modem, all right? Now the issue is that that stuff is all the way in the other room. And we all like the setup that I have here, right? So what would you rather have? A nice looking background or good internet with no lag, good technical setup? You guys like the background. That's what you prefer. Which is why, for the moment at the least, you know, we're running with what we got. Maybe if this ends in failure again, then I will consider switching over to, you know, that Ethernet system like you know, like I've been talking about. But most likely not going to do that. Mike says, I like Jinbei, but he's not quirky enough to be a Straw Hat. So I used to feel kind of like you. Mike. But, you know, I've come around to it. Miriam says, I think you should pay Sean Easton to live with you, Mr. Morge. I don't need Sean. Sean has never helped me once in my life. Sean, for those of you that don't know, is a self-proclaimed tech genius. He got into the ranks of the mods by pretending to be a tech genius. You know how much he's helped? You know? You know how much he's helped since he was made a mod? I think twice, which is, I guess, pretty good, actually. So, thank you, Sean. Julian Burwell says, how strong do you think the Germa Bros would be if you gave them someone like X Drake's fruit? First commander level, why or why not? I think giving someone a devil fruit is generally like a difficult thing to kind of gauge. Because, for example, okay, like the Mera Mera no Mi, that's a very, very powerful fruit, right? One of the most powerful fruits in One Piece. It was talked up as an extremely powerful fruit. That's why it was such a valuable prize at the Colosseum. And what's interesting is I think that with Sabo's character, right? So Sabo was obviously a very, very strong character even prior to getting the Mera Mera no Mi. Clearly a lot of hockey, especially armament hockey. Clearly a really good physical combatant, right? Then he got the Mera Mera no Mi, and obviously it makes him stronger and it expands his abilities and everything like that. But it's hard to say, you know, like it's weird how people scale things. So a lot of people might have been like, you know, Sabo is commander level or first commander level, whatever you want to call it, even before he got the Mera Mera no Mi, okay? A lot of people might say that. And, you know, he did a really good job against Burgess even before getting the Mera Mera no Mi. Then once he got the Mera Mera no Mi, so that's a big boost in theory, right? But then it's not like people, at least from what I see, the perception that I see a lot of people talking about Sabo through is basically, it's not like a lot of people are like, oh, well, he got the Mera Mera no Mi, so now that basically should bump him up to Admiral level, right? Because he was here before, he got that fruit, so now he should be up to Admiral level. I think most people still kind of put him around the same area, which is funny to think about, right? He was already a very strong character, picked up one of the most powerful fruits in existence, and then a lot of people kind of just put him around the same area, or maybe they were like, okay, this gives him a bit of a bump, but maybe not huge. So that's just interesting to me. I think that goes to show that Devil Fruit abilities, they're very, very powerful. Obviously, they have the capacity to be very, very powerful, but like, I think once you start getting to certain levels, it's not that they matter less, it's that the more, what's going to place you more or less is more so your physical capabilities, and then devil fruits are like a solid boost up or down, not down, but they're not going to drastically take most characters from, you know, one tier, however you want to phrase it, to like Yonko level or something out of the blue, right? So even with the Germa guys, it's hard to say. It's hard to say how much a devil fruit really, really helped them. Now, Blackbeard's a different case because Blackbeard is going around collecting multiple of the most powerful devil fruits in existence, period. And that clearly is that's going to skyrocket you pretty fast. So I don't think the raid will fail. Says, I'm a tech genius too. Make me moderator. Yeah, that's... Thanks, buddy. Between the raid and... between your title being the raid will not end in failure and your use of language... Sure, I'll definitely mod you. Anuj Agarwal says, Morge, you missed Epic Mark Super Chat. Hi, Morge. Last week I asked you to shout out my Reddit post. That post got me recruited by TCB, so I helped translate this chapter. Hope you enjoyed it. That is awesome. Good news. Okay, Epic Mark, I'm glad I could help you out like that. And, yeah, I have nothing else to say on that. So, awesome. Good stuff. Rahan Syed said Luffy just lost 2 times. Yeah? What do you mean Luffy just lost 2 times? Yeah, Luffy's lost twice. How would that be 5 to 6 losses to Kaido if the raid failed here? That would just be a 3rd loss. Which, yeah, that's 1 more than Luffy's ever lost in a row, because Luffy, the most he's ever lost in a row is twice to Crocodile. But guys, that was 1,000 chapters ago. 900 chapters ago. 800 chapters? That was like a lot of chapters ago. Okay? Would it be that surprise? Is it some rule that's been set that Luffy can only lose 3 times or twice at this point? He always has to win the 3rd round because that's what happened with Crocodile. If anything, I would imagine that, you know, we're far enough in the story that Luffy should probably start facing a greater challenge. So Crocodile should no longer be his longest, most difficult fight at this point in time. Or at least in terms of attempts. Katakuri was a longer match. DZA the Ghost says, can we get some collateral in case Saturday fails? Yeah, collateral is Sunday. Alright? If Saturday's stream in the morning fails, then we got Sunday. I already showed you guys. I'm going to be using this Ethernet thing. It's actually not an Ethernet cable. It's like a port that you attach to your laptop that allows the Ethernet cable to fit in or whatever. Because my laptop does not have an Ethernet port. But as long as I'm using that, we're probably fine, right? As long as I'm using that, we're pretty much fine. Hiram Robles says, you think Luffy will be given Mink healing drug? No, I don't think so, just because I don't think Luffy's in that bad of a state right now. Luffy seems pretty much good to go. there's states where it's like, okay, Luffy's gonna need 3 days to recover, and then there's times when he just gets up and says, I need some meat, and he eats the meat, and then you just accept that he's basically healed it back up to essentially full capacity. That's what happened here. Same thing between round 1 and round 2 of the crocodile fight. Young God Noah says, more, do you think Nami will ever let Sanji hit? No. Literally, I think... no, I think that Nami would literally never let Sanji hit. That's... no. Now, Luffy... you guys don't need to know my thoughts on that. I think that's definitely happening, though. End of story. Max Lee says, what's up, Morge? What's up, Max? Marmar says, do you have a cable, though? Of course, Marmars. You think I'm just going to show you a thing that allows me to connect Ethernet cable to my laptop without having an Ethernet cable to connect to? How low do you guys think of me? How bad do you think I am with technology? You think I walked into a store and was like, hey, I need Ethernet. Give me a device that would allow me to plug an Ethernet cable into my computer. And then I just bought that and was like, that's all I need. Sayonara. I don't actually need the Ethernet cable. Just that device that would allow me to hypothetically connect an Ethernet cable. That's enough for me. No, I'm a little smarter than that. I also bought an Ethernet cable. Julian Burwell says, guess what I'm asking is how durable do you think they would be if you give them an ancient zone with their hard bodies and raid suits? It's stuff like that is too hard to tell, partly because it's really hard to scale the Germa guys, because we did not get to see them actually fight in an extended battle against anybody. Here are the things we know. This is the full extent of what we know, all right? We know that Yonji got beat up by Sanji, and we know that Ichiji got beat up by Katakuri. Those are the two things that we saw on screen. We don't know the difficulty, because really we didn't see them on screen, we just know they happened, even though it said on screen. They happened off screen, but we saw Ichiji lose to Katakuri. It was a panel that showed him defeated towards the end of the Tea Party. And we know that Yonji lost to Sanji because that was established early on in Whole Cake Island. We don't know the levels of difficulty. We saw, I think, Ichiji get in a good hit against Oven. We saw Niji do some cool... yeah, we saw good showings from them and everything. It's just very hard to scale them. Some people still debate whether or not Ichiji was stronger than Sanji. I personally think no, but there's nothing that we saw on or off screen that indicates to us otherwise. Captain Face says, King the kind of dude to be drinking punch at a party, sitting by himself, thinking about work the next day, while Queen is partying, enjoying himself. Yeah, I actually really, really like the contrast between King and Queen. I really like the contrast between King and Queen. I think that it's a fun dynamic that you've got for the first and second commander. It honestly is fairly similar to Mr. 1 and Mr. 2, with Mr. 2 and Queen generally being the more, I guess you'd say, flamboyant, yeah, I guess just flamboyant, expressive, memey characters, and then King and Mr. 1 being more serious, get-to-business type, straightforward characters, right? So definitely a parallel going on there. Andres Garcia says, what are your thoughts on S.H.I.E.L.D.? Oh, CP0. It's a funny way to say CP0. I think CP0 is going to end up calling in the Marines when they think that the time is right. I don't think that they're actually going to be that active combat-wise over the course of this arc. I don't think CP0 are the guys that this small collection of CP0, some people are talking about how they're going to take advantage of the Yonko being weakened and finish them off or become problems for the Strats at the end of the arc. I don't think that that's how they would operate because there's such a small group. There's a handful of them. I don't think that they're in a position, no matter which way the war goes, I don't think that they're in a position to suddenly square up and be like, all right, your army of 5,000 is weakened enough that we can take them all on or whatever. There's no scenario I can imagine where either side is down that bad that these 4 members of CP0 is just all right, time to clean up here. They're just not in that sort of position. I do think that they are our de facto narrators of the arc, and I think that they're going to impede on the plot in some way, but I don't think it's going to be some master villain final move where they're just all right, time for us to take over at the end, because they just don't have the manpower at the moment. Now, if they call in the Marines, I think that's a different story. Adrian Hakeem says, I really don't like Dogstorm versus Jack. I feel like Jack hasn't been portrayed in good light at all since his intro. The fight just feels underwhelming. Adrian, I'm right there with you. I agree. Jack was... Nobody remembers how big of a deal Jack was initially. Jack initially was the first billion berry bounty in, in One Piece period. He redefined essentially what we could expect out of bounties in the story in general. I remember fan art going around back in the day of like, oh, Whitebeard's hypothetical bounty before we found out about it, right? People would throw out Whitebeard's hypothetical bounty and it would be like 1.4 billion berry or something like that. Or Mihawk's hypothetical bounty and someone would post like 777 million for Mihawk. You can find these fan art sort of posters, right? Jack showed up, third commander of the Beast Pirates. His bounty is a billion. That redefined what we could expect for the rest of the story. So Jack was a really, really, really big deal when he first showed up. He was really, really big deal when he first showed up. A lot of hype surrounding him, a lot of general excitement because he was, he was the third henchman of Kaido, but he's serving as the antagonist of a full arc, of the Zou arc. And sure, they didn't get down to actually fighting him, mano a mano, but he was the antagonist of that arc. So it's just kind of, there was more build-up around Jack than I think any other henchman I can think of in recent times for him to not turn out to be that big of a deal. Hey Yanel, what are your thoughts on Zoro and his lineage, potential backstory, and what do you think the whole one-eye thing is all about? Everyone, if you missed it earlier, I've been talking a video that comes out next Tuesday. I have a lot to say about Zoro and his lineage. I think that there's a lot of things that kind of just fit together. And I know for a fact that a few of the things that are coming out in that video, because a lot of people are speculating things like Zoro Shimatsuki, etc. What's coming out in that Tuesday video, I know for a fact that the latter half of that video has stuff that I'm not seeing anybody talk about whatsoever. So I'm actually very excited for that video. I wrote that today. Most excited I've been about a theory video coming out in a little bit. So definitely look forward to that. It's next Tuesday coming out. I would have rush ordered it for this week. There was already a video I had scheduled coming out tomorrow, and that's a video that kind of needs to come out tomorrow. So look out for that video as well. Tomorrow's video also very good, for very different reasons. So tomorrow's video, you'll find out. It's a special video for a lot of reasons, basically. But then the Chapter 1023 Zoro-based videos, that's coming out next Tuesday. Jinho Wong says, Ashura cut Jack easily. Yeah, I mean, but that's... so Ashura, in my opinion, is the strongest scabbard. No, you would say Inuarashi Nekomamushi probably with the Sulongs, right? So with Sulongs included, it's probably Inuarashi Nekomamushi. But just de facto, I'd probably say Ashura, just in terms of general hype and portrayal and feats he's had throughout the story. And Ashura cut Jack, but then Jack also got a good cut back in on Ashura, so they went back and forth. So I'd say it evens out. Keenan, thanks a lot. 1 out of 2. NL says, Endless Verth is where God belongs. The Lunarians, we think, descended from the moon to the Red Line, another Endless Verth as gods. Could they have started the age of the sea circle that Nolan references? That's a really, really interesting point that NL, knowingly or not, he dropped the notion that the moon is the land of the gods. And obviously NL's not a real god, he's just called himself that, so he's heading up there. But the fact that the Lunarians actually came from there, that's actually oh man, this is so interesting. This is, so a lot of, okay, so sometimes when there's too much stuff being dropped, I kind of try and shut out a lot of it and not think about everything and focus on parts that really interested me, first and foremost, or parts that I have the most ideas about. So with the Lunarians, I don't have as many good ideas. I do have a lot of speculations floating around. So for example, yeah, I'm on board with the idea that they were one of the moon races that came down to Earth and maybe were the predominant one or the most important one. But it's hard to say, it's hard to say really like what impact they've had on the world or what exactly, what happened to them? Why is King's race so rare at this point? How do they relate to the D tribe? Because a lot of people believe that the D tribe were an ancient, they descended from the moon. How are the Lunarians different from the D tribe? Is Luffy a Lunarian? I don't think so. At the moment. Hits Jason says, is New Momo strong and can you do an epic gamer dab? No, there's nothing that gamers do that is epic, okay? There's no such thing as an epic gamer dab. Gamers don't do anything that's epic, alright? So let's get that out of the way. Is New Momo strong? I think New Momo, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, just because I think that's it doesn't logically have to make sense. Like, oh, Momo didn't have a lot of training or anything like that. That's true, but I think Oda will err on the side of what's more exciting, which would be if we get to see how Momo would fight as an adult. I do think that that's got to be one of the reasons Oda did it, just to have Momo be able to play more of an active impact in the coming war. Not to mention one of the big things. So if you go back to just in general, so Act 2 Momo's biggest thing that's fueling him is practicing his swordsmanship, because the biggest thing nagging at him is that he wants to be able to fight in the war, and he wants to be a force in the war, right? So you can go back to his earlier conversations with Tama, and you can go back to him on the crocodile shark, whatever it was that was traveling from, traveling, to Udon, right? Big Mom, Kiku, Momo, Tama, Chopper traveling to Udon. Momo's talking about how he has to be able to fight in the coming war. So that's what he's talking about throughout Act 2. So I do think, and he got that sword, Ame no Habakiri. I think it's all piecing together to basically say Momo is going to fight in the war and he is going to be important as a combatant. Young Master says the 2-9 got it. Oops, scroll past that real quick. Hold up. Young Master says the 2-9 devil got to join the Straw Hats. I know what you're talking about. For those of you that don't know, the devil fruits follow a numbered code, sort of. So Luffy's Gomu, that's 5-6. Chopper's Hito, I think that's 1-10. I'm not the sharpest on this, so don't quote me on everything. Basically, all of the numbers play out in a certain way. I think Brook is Yomi, so I think that's 4-9, something like that. Robin's must have been not 4-8. I don't know what Brooks is. All I know is 2-9 is the one that's missing. All right. So 2-9 is the one that's missing in terms of the devil fruit code, in case you didn't know. So candidates include. So he's saying with that, can we rule out Momo, Tama, Yamato, Smoker, and other devil fruit users from the options? Momo, I don't think we can rule out, because. So here's the thing. Someone told me that Kinemon's fruit, right? Kinemon's fruit fits the 2-9. So if Kinemon's fruit fits the 2-9, I don't think Kinemon's joining, but I do think Kinemon could die and his devil fruit goes to someone else. And Momo has eaten a devil fruit, but it's artificial devil fruit, which means that Momo could eat Kinemon's normal devil fruit, because we don't yet know whether or not you're allowed to eat an artificial devil fruit and still have it and still be able to eat a normal devil fruit. We don't know if those two things clash yet, because one is artificial. It's not a real devil fruit. If Kinemon were to die, which is very likely, and someone were to eat his devil fruit, it makes the most sense for it to be Momonosuke, because that's sort of a passing on, right? Kinemon essentially became Momonosuke's father figure. I think that makes sense to me. Captain Face says, I think CP0 will try to capture a weakened Robin. It might lead to Brooks 1v1 against a CP0 member. That's a good idea. I like that. I won't say that it's just a little weird because, look, you got two scenarios, right? One is if the raid fails, in which case, I don't care. Maybe CP0 does it. But two, which is the scenario most people are going with, which is that this is the final battle. If this is the final battle, then Oda he likes his symmetry in the times of sort of the way that, or the neatness in the way that the fights play out. So he likes kind of lining everything up and then knocking everything down. So if Oda is kind of giving everyone their fights, all the Tobi Roppo taken out, then the Calamity is going out in kind of the top brass, right? I don't think, like the Zoro and Sanji fights especially, those tend to come last, especially Zoro's fight. So Zoro's fight is almost always, I think, with Arlong Park being the only exception I can think of, when it comes to all of the 1v1s playing out, Zoro's fight is always last. So I have a hard time imagining that, because now we're kind of at that final phase of everyone versus the final straws versus the Calamities. I don't think that Oda would cut randomly before Kaido's fight to get Brook versus a CP0. Phantom SSJ says, what's the secret of Dr. Korea's youth? I mean, it's not even like she's that old. She's only like 139, right? I don't actually know. I don't know if there is a secret to Korea's youth. That could just be a joke that Oda's doing. Some people say that she's got the immortality surgery done on her, but she still looks old. So if the mortality surgery it keeps you alive, but you still look old, it's not, I don't know, she still looks like an old person, right? Does she not? Parsonetta says, hi Morge, my thoughts on Sanji is that Zoro's gag is a hint from Oda that Sanji's awakening his lineage factor, and by the end of Wano, Sanji's eyebrows will start matching his siblings. Any thoughts? You're talking about the gag from Thriller Bark? I don't know. It's too hard to call with Sanji right now. I know my preference is that it's not the judge, but it is pretty much, right? Oda's playing it up too much at this point for it not to be some lineage factor coming through. But it clashes a little bit with what seemed to have been implied was important during the Whole Cake Island arc, which is that it's that Sanji's strength as a human is what makes him. That's what makes him special, and he doesn't necessarily need to be some special Germa project to come through. So I'm trying to push aside that conversation at the moment. If it's proven, it's proven. But at the moment, I'm not interested in seeing Sanji turn out to be a very special experiment that's starting to awaken. Ahmad Zaidi says, what is Denjiro up to? Missing in action for a long time. That is actually a great question. What is Denjiro up to? So, are there any characters we can think of that would be a good fight for Denjiro that have not been accounted for yet? So worst case scenario, there's always the numbers. So we could just have Denjiro thrown at the numbers. He takes care of the numbers. I don't think that'll be the case. Oda has tried to match up characters with opponents that were related to them in some way. So Nekamamushi avenging Pedro's death. Rashi avenging, the what Jack did to all of Zou. Raizo Fukurokuju, you've got the ninja dynamic. Kinemon took care of Kanjuro. That just naturally follows. Kiku Kanjuro was always forced, but it was a setup for Kinemon Kanjuro. So Denjiro is the odd man out, right? Ashura Doji out. I don't think dead, though. Denjiro out, but I don't think... Yeah, Denjiro's a tricky one. I don't have a great idea for Denjiro. If you... Maybe he solos the Oniba Wanshu or something like that. Or there's always the numbers that Oda can fall back on. Do we have anyone left? No Tobiropo. Not Hawkins. Hawkins is taken. Yeah, it's too hard. I don't got one for Denjiro. Sorry about that. Big Bro Cook says, who, in your opinion, will the Nine Shadows be at this point? I think the Nine Shadows, it might be one of those things where it represents either the Scabbards or the Strats. I think the straightforward definition is still the Scabbards. So, and the Scabbards did actually cut down Orochi this battle, right? That did happen. The 9 Scabbards did get one huge group attack against Orochi. It's just not fatal. But the 9 Scabbards, I guess you really do have to look at it as those 9 are the ones who made all of this happen. The Straw Hats, they may or may not be 9 Straw Hats at the end of this. It's really 10 or even 11, depending on who joins. So I think the 9 Scabbards essentially do represent the 9 that Toki was talking about, woven through time. But the spiritual successors to that are Luffy and his crew. Adrian Hakeem, thank you again. Is Adrian a mod? Now he is. Thanks, Adrian. I believe the Strats will go to the moon, but the question is how. I think Reverse Mountain will become the ultimate knock-up stream and send them into space. Thoughts? Please mod me again. Yeah, you already modded. Also, I don't know what the deal is exactly, but some people, maybe there's a limit to how many mods you can have or something like that. I don't know what the deal is, but some people don't have mod status now, or they didn't have. Randy Troy showed up on my stream the other day, and he somehow didn't have mod status. But he's had mod status for a long, long time. And I confirmed with him afterwards that was him. So I don't know exactly what the deal is, but sorry if your mod status went away. I just modded you back. It was not intentional. I've never been unmod this person, except for Don Quixote D. Joker. That was a long time ago, and it was very funny. But besides that, no. Once the stream is done, I'm not going back through and being I'm going to unmod this person. So I'm sorry if that happened. But that's a brilliant theory. Guys, who likes that? Knock-up stream is the way to Raftel. I think that would be really, really cool. And that would fit perfectly because... it fits perfectly because it's getting back to the start of the Grand Line. Right? You get back to the start of the Grand Line. So you complete your full journey, and then you get to the final island of Grand Line. Then you get to the... That's awesome. I would really, really like if that's the case. Really, really, really like if that's the case. And it kind of makes sense because then if you're coming down from Raftel, right? So you come down from Raftel, you would come down. They landed on the red line. No, it's too much speculation going on then. But let's say you're a moon race or something. You came down. You're a race of gods. You settled on the red line. Maybe you came down directly from the moon to land on the red line, in which case you would be, landing on the Reverse Mountain makes sense. So if it's a one-way ticket from Reverse Mountain straight to Raftel on the moon, that'd be cool. And I keep saying Raftel's on the moon. Let's just say the moon in general, but interesting idea. Great idea, Adrian Hakeem. Earned your mod status back. Christopher Morency says, Momo sacrificing his childhood for Wano and shows his resolve. I love it. Yeah, Momonosuke, super duper good character coming out of Wano. I understand a lot of people don't like him. I think all it's going to take is Oda giving him some badass moments in terms of combat, and then everyone will be like, we like Momo, because, it's hard to, when he's a whiny little kid, even if he's getting his character development and stuff, he's still, a whiny little kid. And he's, definitely a pervy opportunist who kind of, gets away with certain things because he's a kid. But I think, if Oda depending on how Oda writes adult Momo, I think a lot of people may look back on Momonosuke as one of the best characters in the series, depending on how he does it. Sorry, just catching up. Sorry, just catching up. Hold on, guys. Hold on. John Cena in the house. You think Zeph was on Rocks Pirates, LeBron or KD? Loaded question. No, I don't think Zeph was on the Rocks Pirates. I don't think it's one of those things where, just anybody who's anybody was on the Rocks Pirates. I don't think Zeph was on the Rocks Pirates. I don't think so. Because there's so little significance to that happening. Zeph could have just been a pirate on the Grand Line. I don't think he was, necessarily even a legendary pirate. LeBron or KD? You mean in general or today? Today, as much as I dislike to say it, I would give it to KD just because I believe that if LeBron's at his best, in general, it's obviously LeBron way better than KD, right? In general, prime versus prime, it's not even close in my mind. KD's really good, but prime versus prime, I think LeBron's the most talented basketball player of all time in an all-round sense. But today, I'll give it to KD just because, LeBron, it's possible. He's got to prove it next season that he still got it, The way he went out in the playoffs was just, not encouraging. The Pirate Hero says, this is copium because I want Sanji to be a normal human. Me too, Pirate Hero. But I hope he feels off after the raid suit just because while the suit only works for him, he still doesn't have the required active lineage factor. I would love that. And it's not like he's struggling and needs the raid suit. He's actually been doing really, really well without the raid suit. He's been fighting in base form so far. So, big thing to think about. I would love it if that's the direction Oda takes it. But I think it's less likely than the other direction, which is that Sanji is developing his lineage factors. Jordan Lynn says, how do you think the smile problem will be addressed? I think the answer is Smoothie and her devil fruit. I actually think Chopper will solve it post this battle. I think that's going to be a big moment for him overall. I think that would be really, really good. Much better than that Ice Oni situation. We're in the land of Sakura Blossoms, right? Let's get some tiebacks to the whole Hero Look storyline and what made him a doctor in the first place. There's so much potential here for Chopper in this arc. We've got zone users. We've got Smile, which is by far the worst medically based issue that has afflicted an entire island in the story so far. I don't know. I think there's things that could happen for Chopper here that are just really good. And we got the Ice Oni situation instead, which was really weird. I don't remember. I don't think anyone will talk about that Ice Oni situation being a highlight of Onigashima. Keenan says, do you think Bonnie will end up reversing Momo's age like she did with the Marines at Sabaody, or do you think this is Oda's way of advancing Momo so he's capable of protecting Wano Shogun? So I mentioned this a little earlier. I do think that Bonnie is going to reverse Momo's age. I think that she's going to be the key to doing it. Momo has already made the sacrifice as a character to get rid of his childhood, but I think it would just be weird writing a character going forward as a 28-year-old dude in in a full adult's body who's just literally a child on the inside. I think Oda tends to avoid really, really permanently sad storylines like that for a character, so I think Oda would reverse it, in that case. But yeah, I think that I don't think that Momo is going to be staying in Wano necessarily. You guys know that I believe he'll be a cabin boy in the Straw Hats crew. And I think that somebody else will be playing the role of Shogun for Wano going forward, at least till Momo comes of age organically, naturally, Leezy says, Momo turning older ups his chances of joining the crew. I never thought that Momo being older young affected his chances of joining the crew. It doesn't matter, because if you go back and read Shanks telling Luffy, oh, you're too young to join the crew, it's because the sea is a dangerous place, etc., etc. Luffy's a little kid, he's not ready. Momo, the age doesn't matter. Momo's been out at sea throughout the New World, and he's been at the head of this war, right? He's he's done the dangers of it are no longer a factor because Momo's already been part of this adventure for such a long time, right? And if anything, Luffy's regularly challenging Momo to be braver and to do more things and to stop relying on others. So with Momo, that age restriction that Shanks talked about with Luffy, that's not a factor anymore. Luffy was just a naive young kid who had no worldly experience, who really was not ready for the sea. Momo has been in he's been at the center of a war with Yonko, like the top tier pirates of the world. There's nothing more dangerous than this out there, right? It's not like a Sea King is like this scary thing that if Momo gets on the Strahd's ship and goes along, then oh no, what happens if a Sea King attacks them or something like that? No, it's fucking Kaido and Big Mom bearing down on, he was strung up and tied up on a cross in front of the entire Beast Pirates banquet with Kaido ready to murder him. We're way, way, way past that shit with Momo, right? He's already experienced more than Luffy has all of pre-time skip, basically, right? In terms of the stakes of what he's up against. So Momo's age is not relevant to whether or not he joins the crew. Because the full reasoning of what Shanks gave is what matters. It's not just the fact that Momo is young or Luffy was young. Aiden Capristo says missed mine. Oh, shit, sorry. Let's find Aiden's. Can someone tell me what Aiden's was? Guys, I need Aiden's. Oh, Aiden Capristo says, did Morge miss your super chat? What was... wait, no, that's just Anuj Agrawal repeating. Alright, we don't know what Aiden's is. Someone find Aiden Crepisto's super chat. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick. Oh, I'll answer Sean real quick. Sean Rundgren says, I think Sanji just wears pants and shoes that are fireproof. Yeah, maybe. I think that in general, when it comes to clothing and everything like that, Oda just kind of lets certain things slide. Why does Smoker's clothes turn into smoke when he turns into smoke? And then why do they come back on? I think he said in SBS or something like that. He just has to write it that way. Otherwise, it would be too mature of a manga, which is the case. So I think, yeah, if you had Sanji burning his clothes off every time, then Oda couldn't really write Sanji using fire, could he? Gin Tonic, thanks a lot. I think Oda might go into the conflict of nurture versus nature. You are a product of your work versus you are a product for your gene/family. Balance is key. I would love if he does that. Well, Sanji's never been a hard work type character necessarily. He has, honestly, out of all of the characters, Sanji's kind of the character that often gets to take leaps forward without having to put in the training as much. He's just naturally very quick with it in terms of advancing his strength. Zoro trains a lot, Luffy gets a lot of fights, so progresses that way. Zoro's always training on the ship, etc. And Sanji kind of just keeps up because he's just Sanji, and that's just his character. But in terms of the general idea of you're a product of your gene/family versus this is just Sanji being himself, yeah, maybe Oda goes down a route with balance is key, but then that kind of needs to be stressed through the story, right? So if it is just basically well, I'm able to beat Queen because I have these lineage factors that Judge ingrained into me that made me the perfect machine, even though I'm fighting against Queen who claims he's the perfect machine, so it's battle of perfect science project versus perfect science project. What does that really say? I don't really... let's see how Oda does it, right? So I'm not going to lean one way or another till we see how he does it. Dom says, thoughts on Nami, Usopp, and Frankie getting some sea prism stone added to their arsenals to deal with Logias instead of armament. I don't think Nami needs it. I think Frankie will be adding it just because he's in Wano. It's surprising to me that he actually hasn't added it. And then Usopp, I think Usopp honestly has already used Sea Prism Stone if you remember against Caesar Clown. Nami, I don't think she needs it just because Nami has so many abilities in her repertoire. One is Oda ever going to bother having these characters fight a Logia? Probably not. Probably not. Two, if you really want to get technical and be well, he has to ride each straw to be prepared to fight a Logia, which I don't think is the case. Two, I think, sure, Frankie, I think will get Sea Prism Stone because they're in Wano, and that seems like a natural sort of upgrade to pick up from Wano because it's a land where Sea Prism Stone and crafting, that is a big deal. Usopp has used Sea Prism Stone in the past against Caesar Clown, so clearly Oda is willing to add it to his arsenal when necessary. And three, with Nami, her arsenal of abilities is so wide that I think she can deal with pretty much any Logia that she needs to. I mean, simple example, she was put up against Monet a little while back, right? She was put up against Monet a little while back. All she did was she used her, she can't cancel out snow, but she used her heat orbs to damage Monet. right? So that's a simple answer. Adrian Akeen says, do you think Momo will develop mentally as well as physically? Think Gone from Hunter x Hunter. Shoot. That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think no. That's a really good question. I'm going to say no. For this moment in time, I'm just going to say no. I think Momo will just be kid's mind in an adult's body, I think. I think that's how Oda might do it. But it would be really cool if we get a really badass, like, developed, serious Momonosuke who we can all take, like, as, like, a really cool character instead of just, like, kid Momo in an adult's body. But I don't know for sure yet. Let's wait and see. Fortnite Pro 123 says you missed mine. Can someone catch Fortnite Pro 123s? I'm sorry. Cigar Verk says Sanji's clothes were burnt. Thriller Bark or Saboti. Yeah, they were, but I guess they were burnt by like other people's attacks. Like for example, Thriller or Saboti. I think it was the pacifista's beams that caused that. Not 100% sure. All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. Someone find Fire Pro's. Is that his name? Fortnite Pro. Aiden Capristus says, guess I'm just gonna cry myself asleep tonight. Aiden, I answered your question. Maximiliano Crespo says, miss mine, do you think the raid will fail? No. Wait, yes, I do think the raid will fail. Of course. I was going to say, no, I didn't miss it, but I was like, what am I contradicting? Clearly I missed it. I do think the raid will fail. Yes, 100%. I think Act 3 will end in failure. I think that's the direction things are going. I will put out videos in the future that articulate it more than I would here, because I don't want to just go back and forth over that same topic over and over again. Fortnite Pro's question was, thoughts on Zoro swallowing Thoughts on Zoro swallowing Luffy's balls and using Gear 5th Ballman to defeat Kaido and Arlong and save the Hidden Leaf. Thank God we got Fortnite Pro 123 Super Chat in. If we had missed that question, what would have become of this stream, huh? I'm not answering that, Fortnite Pro. Can't believe you felt the need to push that and bring it up and be like, I'd missed some golden question or some honest bit of discussion that you wanted me to expand upon. Sam Fowler says, will King break Zoro's Sandai Katetsu, making him have to retrieve the Nidai Katetsu? Another sign. Again, there's a million reasons that the raid's going to fail. This is but one of them. Thank you, Sam Fowler, for bringing up yet another reason of why there's too many plot threads that should be resolved later in the arc that clearly point, at least to me, to this not being the end of the story. Why is Nidai Katetsu lying around when Zoro is not using it, you know? It seems clearly set up that he will be wielding that sword by the end of the arc. So, just another example. I'm going to the bathroom now. I'll be back in 2 minutes. When I go to the bathroom, everybody leaves the streams, which bothers me so much. You guys wait. 15 seconds. This will be the fastest pee you've ever witnessed. Well, you won't witness it, but you guys can imagine if you want to be creepy. We only dropped like 40 viewers? That's crazy. What? That never happens. Normally when I leave, it's like, it's all over. Keenan says, did you wash your hands, Morge? Of course I did, Keenan. Don't you worry about that. Damn, the lag is pretty high. How far behind are you guys? I'm watching myself come back on stream right now. This was a laggy chat going on right now. Wait, where's the plush? Plush is right here. It's not gone anywhere. Don't worry, guys. Gin Tonic says, I think it's cultural. The West tends to overemphasize work, while East equals family. Shonen is Asian wish fulfillment. Hit me up for an Asian's view. Can you expand on it? Doesn't the East also emphasize work a lot? I don't think that these are two opposing concepts, right? East equals family. In terms of, unless you're saying like what makes you you. If you're talking about values, it's like one valuing work, one valuing family. I do agree that in general, like for example, I'm from Indian culture. Eastern cultures do value family more. So Indian culture, there is still like a notion that, okay, when a kid reaches a certain age, you take your parents in, you raise your, not raise your parents, but you're supposed to take care of your parents and everything like that, you know? That's, that's definitely a thing, but I don't know if it's as, because Eastern cultures also emphasize work a lot. So if you're talking about like, well, what makes you you? So in the context of Sanji, I see where you're getting at. But in terms of values in general, like valuing work, valuing family, those aren't really conflicting values. Misu says, do you still see Smoker as a viable new crewmate? Yes, I do. We're going to take things one at a time, right? So Smoker being a new crewmate, I think, is contingent on Smoker making his way to Wano. So, and making his way to Wano is contingent on the Marines coming to Wano, which is contingent on the raid ending in failure, so there's more to it, right? So we're taking things one at a time, but long term, I do see Smoker eventually joining the crew. It's just one thing at a time. So first, the raid would have to fail. 2, Smoker and Tashigi, because I think Wano is also potentially important for Tashigi's character. Smoker and Tashigi, along with other Marines, making their way to Wano for Act 4. From there, certain things can fit together for Smoker to eventually leave the Marines, most likely once the world government begins their great cleansing, which would be the trigger for Smoker to quit the Marines, and then seeing the Straw Hats defeat Kaido, bring freedom, etc., justice, etc. to Wano, would potentially be a route for Smoker joining their crew in the effort to get to Rafto if Smoker's motivations are pointing him towards that direction as the way to find justice for the world or something like that. Because Smoker's primary motivation is justice. That's an important thing for people to remember. Primary motivation is justice, finding what brings justice in the world. So when people are like, no, you don't understand Smoker's character, it's all about the Marines, it's not about being a Marine or a pirate. That's a flawed way of, that's been the topic, that's been the focus of Smoker's character arc, that it's a flawed way to think of it, that if you're a Marine, you stand for justice, if you're a pirate, you stand against that, right? That's been consistently for Smoker's character what he's learning, that no, being a Marine has nothing to do with justice, being a pirate doesn't even mean that you don't bring justice. What his character direction has always been pointing him towards what actually brings justice in the world, and repeatedly showing him that it's the Straw Hats that bring justice to the world, okay? So I understand that being a point that, well, that doesn't mean he has to join the Straw Hats, and I understand if you feel that way. That's fair, but you do have to still understand that at least the direction, what's undisputable is that the way his character arc is being set up is that realizing the Marines don't bring justice, and that the Straw Hats do bring justice. So quitting the Marines will definitely happen. Helping the Straw Hats in some way long term will most likely happen. Whether or not he joins, that's the big step that I understand people are against. So just clarifying that general belief, though. Andrew Aura says, do you think Zoro will get Shusui back when everyone finds out he's a descendant of Ryuma? I think no, just because Shusui's already a Black Blade, and I think that, if I had to guess, I think that Zoro's swords will be swords that he turns black on his own, because that's just a little more personal, right? So weapons that are his weapons that are attuned to the way that he fights and like just his possessions, right? So he's the one that turns his blades black, in my mind. Fortnite Pro 123 says, Coke or Pepsi? I prefer Coke. I don't know who prefers Pepsi. I think I've never in my life met someone who preferred Pepsi over Coke, right? Have you ever met someone like that? Probably not. Cooper Acker says, will Morgecast be coming back at some point? Oh, no. Oh, the Morgecast. Also, will there be exclusive polls and live streams for the Pirate King patrons at some point? Oh, no. Okay, Cooper. All right. He's asking Patreon questions. All right. I got to record a Morgecast soon. I'll put up a Morgecast tomorrow. I have time tomorrow. Tomorrow. Cooper, hold me to it. I will record a Morgecast and put that up tomorrow. As for exclusive polls and live streams for Pirate King patrons, that's a more complicated thought process. I might throw it like a discussion post to Pirate King patrons to kind of figure out what incentive is your favorite. The tricky part with polls and handing off polls, because I used to actually do a lot of polls for patrons, right? So pick the next video topic. What patrons would pick for their poll topics and what were actually successful video topics were always very, very different. It was the weirdest thing. I'd put up like 5 topics for a video, right? Either a normal video or an analysis video. Patrons would somehow always pick the most niche, obscure topic that I guess more... the only way I can define it in my head is basically like maybe more invested or deep, deeply dug in Morge viewers or something like that have different tastes that like are more niche or more like, okay, what's this topic or something like that, rather than going for the generally broad, maybe more popular topic. So that resulted in me having to put out videos that were not successful. Clearly the patrons liked them or they were interested in those topics, but not the general public. So I had to kind of stop doing polls because it fucked over the channel in general. Because like I'd put up simple example, if I put up like a character analysis poll and I was like, which one of these characters do you want me to talk about? Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, or like Frankie, alright? Patrons would fucking pick Frankie. That's not something that actually happened, that's just an example of what I used to see, alright? So I'm like, okay, fuck it, I guess I'm doing a Frankie analysis. Again, this never actually happened. This is an example. That's how examples work. I'm doing a Frankie analysis, gets 30 viewers. All right, 30 views, maybe 40 views or something like that. That's it. And I'm like, all right, well, those 40 patrons watched it and nobody else did. Okay? So that's why I had to kind of cut down on the polls. So I'm going to try and think of like a different incentive for patrons than polls. But Morgecast, I'll record a Morgecast tomorrow. All right? Anyway. Fuck, I'm missing a bunch. Let me scroll up. Old Green Knees. What's a weirder name than that? Never heard a weirder name than that. Can we get more Straw Hat candidate grading videos? Uteron thinks Vivi is the next candidate based on the unused Bolero design from the magazines. If Smoker can get a video, why couldn't Vivi? Hashtag agenda. Because I believe Vivi's already a Straw Hat. I don't really have much more to say on that. Like, I think that Vivi's I think she counts as a Straw Hat essentially, but she's like this cool cool off-brand, backup roster Straw Hat, so she's a Straw Hat in spirit. She's not actually on board the crew. I don't think that there's anything more that'll be done to mesh Vivi into the crew. Like, I think even with the Vivre cards, the way Oda numbered the Vivre cards or something like that, he included Vivi as one of the numbers of the Vivre card. So I think Vivi's purpose in general is going to be relevant to the reconstruction of the world government, right? When the world government is taken down, you need a new world government in place. That's why Oda set Vivi up as this great political leader, both as like the perfect queen in Alabasta and then transitioning her over to the Reverie, right? To basically be probably like the shining new hope for a reconstruction of the world government down the line. So I don't think that she's essentially going to be a member of the Straw Hat crew. I think she's going to be the political force that sides with the Straw Hats in the coming war, right? Because you need someone like that, essentially a Straw Hat who's not a Straw Hat, someone who's not literally a pirate openly, who is that driving political force for the restructuring of the world. Because all the Straw Hats can do is fight and take down the powers that be. But you need a power among that powers that be to fix the powers that be. So I think that's why Oda set up Vivi's character, not just to have another character on board the ship. I think Oda was much more selective with the idea behind Vivi's character, which was, I need to set up a character who will one day play a big role in the world on a political stage, who is essentially a member of the Straw Hat crew, but you can't just physically be with the Straw Hat crew. My take on it. Monkey D. Ben says, if Sanji is enhanced, you think Usopp will receive the raid suit? No, I think it was established that the raid suit only works on Sanji, right? And, I think either it works on Sanji or it just doesn't work on anybody. Thus, the return of Sogeking. Also, thoughts on Sanji's flame / Luffy Red Hawk being hockey. I don't think, I think Luffy's Red Hawk it's the lame old excuse of friction. I don't think it's hockey, though. Reason I don't think it's hockey is because the way it's being talked about recently is a human producing flames is really weird or strange. So if it was a normal Haki ability, it wouldn't be talked about like that. So I think Red Hawk is just a one-off Luffy ability that has to do with friction. Sanji can more freely produce flames, obviously, but I prefer to believe that's just an exaggerated version of his passion. Oh my god, I'm scrolling down and seeing all these people saying Pepsi. Are you guys serious? Is this a fucking joke? Is this what my chat is? You guys are just a What? You guys are just a bunch of Pepsi drinkers? Is this a... Are you fucking... What? You know, I used to think, like... I would wonder... You know, how is Pepsi still in business? Like, where are all the people that buy Pepsi? Because, as far as I understood, everyone just was a normal, logical, rational person. They preferred Coke. Right? That's just how I thought about it. I was like, who would prefer Pepsi? Where are all these Pepsi drinkers out there? Is like the government subsidizing Pepsi? Like, do they give out handouts to keep Pepsi going, just to, you know, just kind of keep the American cultural spirit running with one of our classical name brands, Pepsi? You know, don't want to see Pepsi Company die or anything like that, right? That's how I thought about Pepsi, that it just exists because, you know, obviously no one's buying it, but it's out there. It's pulling through somehow. So I'd always wonder, like, where are all the Pepsi drinkers? Where do they exist? Who's buying this stuff? And today I found out they're on my fucking chat. It's just you guys. You guys are the only Pepsi drinkers in the world. All of you, somehow all Pepsi drinkers in the world united and were just like, we're just gonna watch Morge videos, and that's what happened. Weirdest phenomenon I've ever heard of, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Round of applause for all you guys. You know, all you Pepsi drinkers, you found one piece of common ground, which is you like watching some Morge videos. You like One Piece and you like watching Morge videos. So I guess that's, yeah, it's just a weird coincidence that all the Pepsi drinkers happen to like the same type of YouTube content. Fortnite Pro 123 says, is Kaido a beta loser or an alpha sigma rip Chad? Well, you phrased it in a way that wouldn't it obviously be the second one? I'm not gonna be like Kaido's a beta loser, so I'll say alpha sigma ripped Chad. That's what Kaido is. Also, Kaido's actually he's the definition of alpha, right? Like the entire way his crew works, it's literally the beast pirates. It's, you know, survival of the fittest, order the strongest is at the top, everybody else subordinate to the strongest. That's Kaido. It's literally a beast crew. So if you want to get into the alpha stuff, Kaido's the most alpha character in One Piece. That's how he constructed his entire crew. He's not like Whitebeard being like, oh, I'll be your dad, I love you guys, I'll be your dad, everyone's the son of the sea. No, Kaido's like, hey, join my crew or I'll beat the fuck out of you. All right? And if you don't join, I'm definitely gonna beat the fuck out of you. But if you do join, then, you know, you'll have a cool spot subordinate to me, and then you can beat the fuck out of some other people, and they'll be subordinate to you, and it all kind of just works that way. But as long as I'm on the top, I don't have to beat the fuck out of anybody. That's the way Kaido's crew works. So it's very much alpha structure. That's the alpha, you know, stereotypical alpha in the wild. I think that's how a lion pack works. No, lions are fucking weird. No, not weird, but it makes so much sense, but it's so fucked to think about. It's literally just one dude. But it makes so much sense. It's just one dude that's the biggest, strongest dude. And he's just like, all these women are mine. They're all mine. If any other lions come here, I'll kill them. And that's my role. And I protect the pack from other lions. All the women are mine. I'm protecting them from beta males basically coming through. And these women they're going to hunt for me. And they're going to get me food. And I'm going to have copious sex with them. And lots of babies. And the babies are mine too. And that's just the way it is until some stronger dude comes along and kills me. It's kind of crazy. It's like the most extreme shit. Like the most extreme example of like the strongest dude just getting to claim everything. But it's so fragile because all it takes is one stronger dude, or for you to have have an off day where your like ankle's not feeling so good or something like that, and then a dude comes along and he just takes everything that you've got. Bo Scotty said, and the women get no say in this. I imagine. Like, they're not going to be like, oh, we like the beta male because of his personality. No, it's too late. The alpha line already killed him. He's dead. You know, they don't really get a say. They're like, all right, fuck it. We'll go, we'll fuck the alpha line. That's who we got left. Thank God he protected us from that bitchy beta line. So, yeah, line culture is funny. They don't show you that in Lion King. Bo Scotty says, from one content creator to another. Thank you, Bo Scotty. I don't know. I'm sorry I don't follow you. My suggestion for polls is to just come up with only good options that are all good for your channel. That's true, but the patrons still somehow find the way to pick the worst option. I'll give them 4 golden options, and then they'll kind of be like, oh, well, which one of these isn't quite as golden as the others? Which one of these has like a tinge of bronze around the edges? We'll pick that one. I'm like, oh, fuck. So when do I get to do these golden options then, huh? I don't know. I ranted too long. I gotta catch up on some super chats. Look at all these Pepsi drinkers coming together. All these Pepsi drinkers. You guys are like those lines that the beta male lines, I imagine. Like, yeah, we drink Pepsi. We like Pepsi. Fortnite Pro 123 says, do you like One Piece? Love it. My favorite thing. Not a joke either. I love it. Like, you guys don't know what love is until you look inside my heart and see my love for One Piece. Daniel Garrett says, how much longer is in Wano? Even if raid doesn't fail, we have to get to King, Queen, Kaido, Yamato flashback. Will allow. So even if the raid doesn't fail, I think we have 40 chapters left. Even if the raid doesn't fail, we've got a lot of way left for Wano. Because if the raid doesn't fail, so it's tricky because you can look at the like the straightforward stuff of like, oh well, it's just got to be the fights and Momo holding up the thing, and then a little bit aftermath. But if you look at all the plot threads that are there, like, you guys hear that car go by? If you look at all the plot threads that are there, right? Like, so much stuff. What's the deal with King? Queen and Germa's connection. Hiyori. I can't list everything right now because I have a list elsewhere, but it's so much plot info. Even just what is Onigashima? What's Kaido's backstory? What's Yamato's backstory? How did Onigashima get over here? What is the actual role of Wano in the lore of the world? There's so much more to find out. What's the deal with Zoro stuff that we just found out? The entire Shimotsuki backstory, the descendant. There's so much stuff to find out in Wano that it's hard to imagine it. Like, if you want to go by just fights, then sure, we could end it in 15 chapters, plus a little bit aftermath, so maybe 20. But, like, if you look at the entirety of what Oda set up, there's a long ways to go. Gaskin says, hey, Mo, do you think we'll get a fight or more so a moment like on Enies Lobby for Usopp or both? I think that... So, I think we could see something like Usopp versus the numbers. That's the last thing I can think of, something sniping related. But I prefer to think that, like, Usopp's character, his big moments for his character are down the line. I do hope he gets taken hostage here, and I do hope that he has to deal with that sort of as a, character conundrum first before he gets the part where he gets to be the big hero and snipe people. All right. Got a lot to catch up on. Give me a second here. Andrew says, Morge Kaido had horns before he ate his devil fruit in the Rocks flashback. Think there's a chance he might be something other than human. Yeah, I do think that there's a race that we're going to be finding out more about as this goes on. I mean, Moria had horns, Kaido has horns, Avalo Prizarro has horns. Yamato is born with horns. Like, there's species that clearly have horns. Ulti has horns. Ulti has horns. Yeah, I think that there's another species that we have yet to learn more about. Aliot05 says, last we heard Smoker and Tashigi were taking the giant kids to Vegapunk. Now suddenly we have SSG. Maybe it stands for Super Soldier Giants? Great. What? What a great option. Aliot05, that's brilliant. Round of applause for Aliot05. Experiments on kids might make Smoker leave the Marines. I think the thing that'll make Smoker leave the Marines that seems pretty well set up is the Great Cleansing around the corner. I don't think that I think Vegapunk is set up to be a good character. So I think that Vegapunk is going to make an appearance in the Wano arc. I do think Smoker is going to make an appearance in the Wano arc. I think both of them could make their way over to the Wano arc before all is said and done. But I don't think Vegapunk's experiments himself will be what makes Smoker leave the Marines. Mikuro D. Joestar says, so after all this Sanji hidden lore, will it make sense for him to get Conqueror's Haki but not as strong as Zoro's? Like, Zoro would be A tier while Sanji is B and C. No, there's none of this lore stuff indicates that Sanji is going to get Conqueror's Haki. It's strictly not in his character. Sanji is written so drastically different than Zoro and Luffy. You can literally, again, for anyone who thinks Sanji is Conqueror's Haki, just go back to Baratier, and it's like Oda practically writing in big, bold letters there is a fundamental difference between Luffy and Zoro versus this character Sanji, right? Fundamental difference between these three characters. What's cool about Sanji is that even though he's not that same character type as those two, he's still able to keep up in strength with them while still being himself and not necessarily acting the way they do, thinking the way they do, having the same values as they do. He's a more normal guy, aside from his pervy stuff, right? He's a more normal guy. He's not like them. He's not a king in that sense. But he's still really, really strong. That's what makes Sanji special. So, that's all I gotta say. Sean Rundgren says, isn't Zoro's Ashra ability hockey? Can't Sanji's be? Maybe it's hockey. I just don't think it's Conqueror's hockey. Fortnite Pro 123 says, do you like One Piece? Kind of seems like you watch it. I actually don't watch One Piece. I don't watch the anime. I used to watch the anime quite a bit. I caught up to most of the series through the anime. No, first third of the series through the anime. Then I was anime only. Yeah, I know, guys. I know that Pepsi and Coke, same company, got bought out. It's like it's like a secret or whatever. But the reality is that it's all under the same company. Same company owns both. But I'm saying in terms of like, what do you actually fucking drink? Right? I think I'm right on that. Pepsi and Coke actually owned by the same bigger company or something like that. But in terms of what you actually drink, you fucking drink Coke. Or you're a weirdo. Gaskin says, hey Morge, do you think we'll get a fight or more so? Oh, wait. How far back am I? And I already answered that one, right? Answered Gaskin. Andrew R says, do you think Sanji versus Blackbeard will happen? Also, the question was definitely Conqueror's hockey versus Pepsi. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I think Shanks versus Blackbeard is very, very set up. Definitely going to happen in the story, and I do think that Blackbeard kills Shanks. Nothing crazy new there, but that's just my full opinions. Just go by advertisements. Who has better advertisements, Coke or Pepsi? Does Pepsi even have advertisements? What's their advertisement? What would their advertisement be? Like, please buy us, we're almost as good as Coke. That's all they could really say. Coke, who remembers this? Coke had these dope-ass polar bear ads. These ads were these polar bears. All right, for those of you who are too young to remember this, Coke had these series of ads, which were like polar bears, animated polar bears, like skiing or some shit, or like going off mountains or ramps, or like swimming around on like icebergs and stuff, and like they had sunglasses on, and they were drinking Coke, and they looked like the happiest fucking bears in the world. These polar bears were living life. If you watched those ads and watched these happy ass polar bears and weren't like, oh, I need to go buy a Coke right now, that's the next soft drink that I'm gonna get guaranteed, something was wrong with you. You were missing a piece of your heart or something like that. If you watch those ads and were like, I'm gonna go get a Pepsi, something is fucking wrong with you. How can you watch those? Go watch, after the stream is over, go watch those old Coke polar bear ads. They're amazing. Fortnite Pro 123 says, thoughts on Coke and Mentos being the knock-up stream. Well, it's definitely not Pepsi and Mentos, that's for fucking sure. That was a cold one. Says, do you think flashbacks Zoro, Yamato, Kaido will be the beginning of the end of Act 3? I think Act 3 ends around chapter 1032, okay? So take that as you will. I think we will get flashbacks for all these characters. I don't know when those in-depth flashbacks will be. I think I'm mostly caught up. Oh, Anuj Agrawal. Wait, fuck. What did I miss? Anuj Agrawal. What did I miss? Let me see. Anuj Agrawal's trying to say something. You miss DZA the Ghost Super Chat. You could always give us a Wano report. I could always give a Wano report. I talked to O'Hara recently on what was it? Whatever the new thing is, Google Meets. So we talked recently. It's gonna be hard to do, just to catch up, right? The plan was maybe do a Wano report, but then like we went over time or whatever. It's hard to do Wano reports as is just because of the time difference, and also I'm extremely busy nowadays. So I'm extremely busy. 1, keeping up this channel. 2, a secret project you guys don't know about. And 3, my small business, which is still going. It died for a bit, then it got revived as of the end of, essentially, not the end of COVID, but you know what I mean. Prospects essentially opening back up. So I'm extremely busy nowadays. I do not have time to do Wano reports consistently. I do once every few weeks. I think we're trying to find a way to bring them back, but you know, we both acknowledge it's hard. Also, O'Hara's not got like a tremendous amount of time either, right? Wano's having a lot of fun in Japan. And his channel is blown up, and he's got a very tight work schedule in general. So he puts more, like, it takes longer for him to make a YouTube video than it does for me to make a YouTube video. If you watch his YouTube videos, you understand what I mean. So, yeah, just in general, both tight on time, different time zones. But we do both want to do it. So maybe we can make it happen. Anuj Agarwal says, I missed another one. I think Zoro will turn... So Axb1922 says, I think Zoro will turn Wado Ichimonji into a black blade before Enma. It's more sentimental to him and was the only sword to survive Mihawk's attack. Yeah, I definitely think that Wado Ichimonji will turn it into a black blade. I do think that Zoro turning his blades black might be a simultaneous thing, just because I think there's more power to that rather than a gradual 1, 2, 3. You know, I think it's not as climactic, just like a moment where all of Zoro's blades you realize are permanently black. That's stronger than kind of checking it off one by one, because then once the third one turns black, it's like a little just anticlimactic. Like, you know it's coming, right? You're kind of waiting for it. It's not like the blade turning black permanently. It's not like there's some really cool, crazy visual that goes with it. It's just like you realize, oh, Zoro's not using haki, but it's still black. So it's hard to make like a really big moment if you draw it out over 3 swords. I think it would be more effective if, you know, at one point Zoro, like after a huge, huge battle, maybe it's the Mihawk battle, maybe it's this arc, I don't know. It's hard to imagine. It's hard to plan out when it would be, right? But after a huge, huge big battle, great victory for Zoro, then he puts his swords down and you realize that they're all permanently black. I think that would be really, really cool. So no Jogger all got anything else? I missed Cater Knight Super Chat. Do you think we'll get more focus on the rest of the supernovas, Uruj and Bonnie in Elbaf? What role will Uruj play in the story? I've said this before. I think that the other supernovas are coming to Wano. I think they're coming to Wano. I think either way, it's unlikely. Let's say the raid doesn't end in failure. Let's say it ends right here. This is the final battle. I think that Uruj and Bonnie would not be coming to Elbaf because I think Elbaf, either way, would be a tighter arc. I think because the way Oda was writing this whole Yonko storyline, right? This whole lead up to the Wano storyline was progressively bigger. So you start with Zo, small, then Hokage Island, which is a big arc, then Wano, which is a huge, huge crescendo, huge arc, lots of characters, lots of storylines, everything coming together. Usually after Oda does that, you need a bit of a cooldown arc, which is why I think Elbaf would be between Luffy and Shanks, and, you know, on the backdrop with surrounding characters being just the giants. I don't think it'll be that much bigger or crazier than that because it just doesn't need to be. Like, once you hit a sort of peak like Wano, it's really hard to write another really big arc after that because there's just arc fatigue, and the way Oda likes to write is like he hits a crescendo, then pulls it back for a little bit, allows certain things to accumulate, writes something more personal, more simple, more basic, and then gets it back big again, right? So I think Elbaf would be simpler because it's now, after Wano, what we're really on the build-up to is the final war, right? So in my mind, hit the crescendo, Wano finishes, Kaido Big Mom defeated, Elbaf, simpler, tighter arc, but still against a Yonko, and then from there we're building up, we got Raftel, lots of things coming together, final war, everything comes together. So, I don't know. And does Ninja Agrawal have anything else for me? Yeah, people remember the Coke ads. Pepsi had a lot of ads, Zach Reese says. Well, that just goes to show. A lot of ads, but none memorable, huh? Johnny Wrestling says Morge desperate for that Coke sponsorship. I fucking wish. I wish I could get a Coke sponsorship. I think I got everybody else's super chat I missed. Anuj Agarwal has been putting in work. If there ever was another S tier mod, it would be Anuj Agarwal. Alright, I think I'm caught up on super chats now. Right? Someone needs to send Morge cartons of Pepsi to his new home. Look, here's the thing. I don't think... Oh, Mario Castillo says, Hi, Mr. Morge. This is my first ever super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Love the channel. Also, the raid will fail. Thank you, Mario. Why am I saying Mario? Mario. I'm saying Mario like it's some sort of name I've never heard before that I'm trying to sound out for the first time. Thanks, Mario. And can you do anything extra for fans who got a plush, please? Yeah, so I'm actually thinking... It's not fully fleshed out in my mind because the plushes have not shipped out yet. They ship out, it's going to be a minute before they ship out. I think they ship out in October. I've been thinking about doing some sort of a photo competition or something like that. So I'm not going to flesh out the details here yet, unless you guys have some good advice, which you rarely do. But if you guys have some good advice, I was trying to think of some sort of photo competition to go with the plush sales arrivals with like taking a photo of a plush, like the most One Piece centric photo of a plush or something like that, or like some sort of creative photo competition involving the plush. So you would have to take the plush, take a photo of it in some sort of a setting, and we'd be comparing who gets the best photo. I'm still trying to think of the setting. Like one thing I was thinking of, like coolest setting or something like that, right? You don't have to be in the photo. I'm not asking my viewers to to expose their faces to the world or whatever, right? But take a photo of the plush in some setting. I don't know what, like the craziest setting, whatever that might be. So people could get creative with that, or like the best One Piece collection type setting. So take a photo of the plush in your One Piece collection, and then there'd be some sort of a prize for the best photo. Everyone would vote on it. But I haven't thought it out 100% fully. Do you guys have any ideas? Trevor Roberts says, if Kaido dies, which way would be the best / most epic? I don't know if Jinho Wong says, wouldn't it be funny if Pepsi sponsors Mord instead of Coke? I've tanked my chances of a Pepsi sponsorship just now. Absolutely nuke them. So it would be pretty hilarious. I'd have to delete the stream, and then I'd have to beg you guys to delete all of your clips of it. But if Kaido dies, I think it would be better, at least to me, if Kaido died. Okay, if you want the most epic way I can imagine him dying that I would like, versus the way I think he would die if he were to die. If he were to die, I think it would be in a non-epic way, because what he really wants is an epic death, and Kaido being a villain, I don't think he will get what he wants. I think that Kaido will not get like a glorious death in the middle of a war. I think Kaido's death would be something like him already imprisoned and someone is able to kill him. Maybe a Blackbeard to take his fruit. I don't know. Okay? Now, if I were to say what's the most epic way that I could imagine him dying, most epic way I could imagine him dying, it's tricky because Luffy's moveset is not tuned to killing characters, right? He beats you down with brute force punches, basically. So, I don't know, maybe it's Zoro, but like I don't think Zoro's killing Kaido. So it's hard to say. Like, maybe Luffy with a Haki attack so strong it like kills Kaido, but that's hard to see. So I just don't think Kaido's dying necessarily. Or if he is, it would be in a non-epic way on purpose. I want that hat. Says, adding on Trevor Roberts' chat, what if when Kaido dies standing up since he wanted a cool death like Whitebeard? I just don't think, so I mean, yeah, it is adding on to that. I just don't think that Kaido will get that death, because I think that he's the villain. I don't think that he's going to get what he wants in that regard. I think that he is essentially going to miss out on that epic death, right? I don't think he's going to get the death he wanted in this big war. Jur says, do you think Luffy will get a weapon like a staff similar to Nika? No, but I have, I'm warming up to that idea that, like, see, the thing is, you kind of need skill to wield a weapon like that, right? Like, that's a big part of it. Like, one time we saw Luffy try and use swords, and he was terrible. We saw Luffy that was back in Arlong Park, and it stays true today when we saw him trying to use swords at the beginning of Act 1 of Wano against Hawkins' gang, and he was terrible at it. So the thing is that Luffy with weapons, at least with swords that we've seen so far, has no talent. Luffy's talent is literally just punching things. It's very, very basic. He's not good at anything else in the world, right? So using a staff, I do like the idea that, just because the Sun Wukong parallels and everything like that, it's a cool idea. I get the appeal. But the tricky thing is basically like, it wouldn't make sense for Luffy to be skilled with that. It would help him fit that mold of Sun Wukong better, so you get more callbacks to the inspiration of One Piece, but I just don't think that it would make sense for Luffy to really be skilled in a weapon, right? It does make sense for him to logistically be able to use an expanding staff, though, because if he gets Devil Fruit Awakening, it would logically make sense that you'd be able to use the Rubber Fruit on your weapon to extend it. Ryan K, thanks a lot. If we go with the prediction that Luffy's bounty will be 5 bill after Wano, what do you expect for Zoro and Sanji? So I've gotten this before. I'm going to try and keep it short. I got this last stream. I think no matter what, Zoro and Sanji's bounties will be higher than King and Queen's. I think that's the simplest thing I can say. Zoro and Sanji's bounties will be higher than King and Queen's. Now Zoro's, so I think that the final bounty Zoro will get in the series, or very close to the final bounty, will be 3 billion berry. Alright? So if we imagine Luffy's final bounty is 5.6 billion berry, I imagine Zoro's will be 3 billion berry, his final bounty. It just makes sense. 3 has always been a number that's Zoro's number, right? Sanji, it's hard to say. Maybe in that case, Sanji's final bounty is 2 or whatever. So just keep in mind, basically, I think no matter what, Zoro and Sanji's bounties will be higher than King and Queen, because that's what dramatic writing is. You want to see your characters, your guys, surpass the opponents, right? You want to see, that's what gives you a sense of excitement. You want to see Zoro, like this Stride crew, you want to feel like they've moved past the Beast Pirates, right? In general, anytime Luffy has beaten his opponents, he gets a higher bounty than they do. I think the same would be true of Zoro and Sanji, all right? Now, with that in mind, basically, where I would say a range, it depends if you think that the Wano bounties will be their last bounties before the final war, which is very possible because with Wano ending, the story's probably at like 90% mark or something like that. And then after the final war, maybe they don't get bounties because, you know, everything's just crumbled and it's all brand new, who needs bounties or whatever. So that's the thing. So just imagine somewhere between the range, I think Zoro's bounty will be somewhere between the range of like 1.8 to 3 bill. That's basically it. And if you're like, well, 3 bill is way too high, fine. Then let's say it's 1.8, okay? Sanji, something like, I don't know, between 1.5 and 2 bill, okay? And if you're like, 2 bill is too high, okay, fine, then 1.5. Whatever's close, it has to be higher than King and Queens in my head, though. Roku D Law, thanks a lot. Thanks, yeah, a lot. Huge donation. Thoughts on if the Ancient Kingdom acted similar to how Celestial Dragons treat everyone? Creating the world government, which is never-ending cycle, would make sense with what Rayleigh told Robin. Maybe these are descendants from the Ancient Kingdom, follow on. So, and he says follow on Twitter. So I guess you guys can follow Roku D Law on Twitter for more thoughts like this. But the bigger thing is, I don't know. It's just because the tricky thing is that it feels like the way Oda, so you're getting at a cycle, right? So it's just a never-ending cycle. Those in power abuse their power, right? I get what you're saying there, but I don't think that the D tribe has ever been portrayed as, you know, I think they've always been portrayed as basically like a group that was unjustly dethroned because people feared their power. I don't think that they were ever portrayed as the abusive or tyrannical group in the in the hierarchy or the structure of the world originally. So I don't think it's a cycle where it's just like, well, one world government after another with the Ancient Kingdom, then giving way to the world government, and then that'll lead to something else, etc., etc. I do think more so that, you know, the idea of the Dawn is bringing back, maybe not bringing back the Ancient Kingdom, but like it's their will that is leading to the dawn of the world, right? So I would imagine that their will is something somewhat pure, and it's a pure ideology that's being passed down from them that, like, yeah, I just think that what the Ancient Kingdom stood for is probably something that Oda is going to portray positively. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. That is an interesting idea that maybe it's more so a cycle. All right, Anthony Johnson says, if Sabo got a zone instead of Ace's fruit, what fruit do you think would be the best for him? I mean, I think the Phoenix fruit would be awesome. Sabo with the Phoenix fruit, that'd be awesome. And honestly, it kind of fits Sabo's character if you think about it, just because, you know, Sabo we thought was dead. He rose from the flames, rose from the ashes or whatever, kind of like the Phoenix fruit. Resurrection of Luffy's long dead brother. I missed some. Let me go down. Yeah, I'm getting back to super chats. Just hold on. Joy Girl got unmodded too. Alright, I don't know what's happening. Hold on. Joy Girl, if you're still here, let me inform you, Randy Troy also came through last week, and he also had lost mod status. So I literally don't know what's happening, but I'm not going through and unmodding people. Adrian Hakeem, for example, in this chat, did not have mod status. I don't know what's going on, but I literally don't know what's going on. But it seems like some people have lost mod status who previously had mod status. I swear I'm not going through and selectively being like, I'm taking this person's mod status away. Ryan K says, if we go with your prediction that Luffy's bounty will be 5 billion... No, we covered you. On to the next one. Thomas Kaz says, my friend just caught up and he thinks I'm crazy for saying the raid will fail. Also, do you think your friend's crazy? Tell him that. Tell him he's crazy, okay? He's crazy. And then link him all my videos that say the raid will fail. Also, do you think Usopp's post-Wano bounty will be 500 mil like Dressrosa? That could happen. I mean, Usopp's the one that's still waiting on the biggest moment in Wano, right? And to me, that's actually fairly big because if Usopp, like, Oda never skimps out on giving Usopp a big moment or a big character arc when it comes to the big arcs. So the fact that he hasn't gotten that yet tells me that, like, you still got something big coming. Tev Sauce 2 says, am I the only one who thinks this Raizo fight can just be done? Maybe because compared to everything else, it's so inconsequential. Dude, Oda's treating it as inconsequential. He's barely trying with the Raizo fight. Like, it's it's just a panel we're cutting to and being like, okay, that's still going on. Because I think Oda knows no one cares about it. So I genuinely hope that we just get one nice spread of Raizo beating Fukurokuju and we move on from there. J Press P says, will you watch Roof Piece and can we get full body armament plushies? Full body armament plushies are basically me doing blackface. Alright? Which, based on the color of my skin, no. I should not be allowed to do blackface still. Alright? So, will I watch Roof Piece? I will watch clips of Roof Piece, for sure. I'm probably not going to watch a full episode, but I'll definitely watch like all the clips and everything like that. Cigar Verk says, Luffy might use plumber pipe. Nah, I don't think so, Cigar. So here's something I missed. Old Green Knee Super Chat. Strongest character you could beat in a fight. See, the problem is that One Piece characters have like superhuman durability. I don't think any of us could beat One Piece characters in a fight. And I'm not talking about like powerful characters. I'm talking about normal characters. So for example, Usopp, right? Day 1 Usopp could take more damage. He's considered physically weak by human standards. I think Usopp even said something like, oh, I can barely lift like 5 kg, 5 kilograms or something like that, right? But Usopp can take inhuman amounts of punishment. No one dies in One Piece. Everyone can tank inhuman amounts of damage. It takes so much to kill a One Piece character, even down to the normal humans. So I think none of us could beat a One Piece character, including normal humans, because they're too tough. They can tank too much. They're not going to lose to us, right? The amount of damage we put out is just not enough to take out a One Piece human. So I got old green knees. Chinua Alibachia says, more new video on Fates as a theme in One Piece. Yes, that's actually been on the docket for a bit, but there's too much new information coming through in Wano for me to jump in and like give a definitive take on what do you call? A definitive take on Fate till this arc ends, right? Then we get a better idea of what Oda's full stance on it. Because I thought I fully understood it, but now there's new things he's adding, right? Captain Faces Super Chat. How do we get a Kaido flashback if we are near the end of the final battle? Does Mount Fuji just not come into play? Lol. Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is not the final battle. I don't think it's the final battle. How many times do I have to say that? I think it's not the final battle, so I think we got more room for what do you call? Yeah, I think there's more room for basically flashbacks to come, etc., because this is not the final battle. Like, we're just getting into Zoro's story. Am I caught up? No, I'm not caught up at all. Where the hell are all these super chats? Uninspired super chat. With the introduction of the Sun God and Land of the Gods, is there a chance our expectations are dashed and celestial dragons aren't the god enemies of D? Yeah, so that's the thing that that's the biggest thing that the Lunarians throw a wrench in the works into, right? The idea that the celestial dragons are the false gods of the world that need to be defeated. But what if they're not? Right? So what if they're not? So what if there's something more? Like an actual species of god beings that need to be defeated, and King is just one of them? That'd be pretty crazy. But I think that no matter what, celestial dragons still represent God in the story. It's just that there could be like real gods that are like more significant than them that also need to be taken down, you know? Thomas Guys says, can you beat Gaimon if he doesn't have any animals? Look, Buggy couldn't beat Gaimon. Although Buggy was nerfed, but still, nerfed Buggy couldn't beat Gaimon. So what does that say about me? I don't think any of us beat Gaimon. Alright. How many super chats am I? Okay, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna do something I never do. Let me go actually to my YouTube studio. You can find all the super chats, but it's just like inconvenient. I just want to make sure, because I'm tired of the poor mods having to rely on me to handle this stuff. Or to keep track of everything. Not that I don't appreciate them doing that. It's the opposite. I want to make it easier on you guys. Let me see. Fuck, where is it? Where's the stuff? No, I think I got it. No one tell me. I can find it. Alright, supers. Alright, here's the supers I've missed. I don't think I missed that many. I missed any? Let me see. Alright. We got the staff question. We got Roku D Law. We got Ryan K. We got Thomas Kaz. We got Tev Sauce. We got J Press P. We got Cigar Verk. We got Jet. So Jet said, thanks Jet. Jet says, hey Morge, love your work and wanted to support the channel. Have you ever considered taking donations through something like Streamlabs? Because I know YouTube takes a cut of super chats. P.S. Pepsi gang. All right, I don't know how much I should take the advice of a Pepsi user, but taking donations through something like Streamlabs, I could look into setting that up. That's a good piece of advice. Thanks a lot. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, YouTube takes like somewhere between like, I forget, it's like 33 to like 45%. It's like maybe around 40% of super chats. So they just do that and you kind of just deal with it. But that is a good idea. It's just that I think the ease of donating through super chat is higher for a lot of people. So I kind of just haven't messed with it, but I get the idea. John Ross says, you got to watch Joy Boy's Denjiro theory. I'm interested in that because Joy Boy said something. I think he said something on Twitter, which was like, so happy about this theory that like I could cry or something like that. And you usually don't see, like, if someone's talking up their own theory a lot like that, then that's, that's something to definitely look into. I normally don't watch a lot of other One Piece YouTubers' theories. Still haven't watched Ohara's theory, for example, but I did get to read the early draft of it, so I know the gist of it. But yeah, usually, like, if someone's really, really talking up a theory or something like that, then, like, I think it's worth taking a look. So maybe I will give Joy Boy's theory a try. I don't know how long it is, though, because sometimes Joy Boy's videos are really, really long. Nothing against that, it's just that, like, more so against me, attention span, you know what I mean? Let me take a look. But I think I'm caught up on super chats. Buggy is Yonko level. Good point. Jeno Wong says inconvenience, he says, Morge. We're still cool, Mr. Morge, says Joy Girl. I swear to God, no lie, you can ask Randy Troy about this. Adrian Hakeem, if you were here last time, you could also see. Randy Troy, randomly unmodded. I never touched a thing. So, I don't know what the deal is, but I don't know how many other mods were robbed of their rightful mod status. Everyone that I'm seeing right now, seems to have it. I'm not seeing any names that I know should be a mod that aren't a mod at the moment, but I'm sorry if that happens, someone just bring it to my attention. I generally remember everybody who was once a mod or not. But, well, it depends. So if you're someone like Logie Dogie, so Logie Dogie who wasn't in my chat for so long, and then he comes out of nowhere and is like, I see a blue wrench next to his name. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? This guy's not been in my chats for God knows how long. He just waltzes back in with a blue wrench next to his name? There's no way I made him a mod ever. Turns out I did at one point. Must have been drinking or something. But Logie Dogie got mod status. And he was a good mod after that. But I'm just saying, there's some mods, if they come back in and they're like, hey, I'm a mod, and you don't have a blue wrench next to your name because, I don't know, YouTube accidentally unmodded you, there's a chance I might not remember you. But everyone here, like Chin Ho Wong, Anuj Agrawal, Pirate Hero, these guys are staples of the mod community. S. Tempest, thanks a lot. The Zoro did well against 2 Yonko, but was easily one-shotted by Buggy, therefore Buggy is stronger than the Yonkos. Yeah, no, I agree with S. Tempest. That follows. Did I get to Thomas Kaz's super chat? Yeah, Chief was a mod, lol, Morge. Who's Chief? Who's Chief? I don't know who Chief is. Chief? Who's Chief? That's a great example right there. I don't know who Chief is. I can't vouch for him being a mod. Thomas Kaz says I read his chats. Yes, I did. Chief, show yourself. What's Chief's full name? I've never modded someone named Chief. I know that for sure. Cronin? Yeah, Cronin's a great example, but Cronin I do remember being a mod. It's just an old school mod. Jino Wong says, yeah, thanks, we're more like slaves of St. Morge. Yeah, we just don't phrase it like that, though. We don't phrase it like that. I prefer the way I phrase it. Cone Killer Confuser says, Morge versus Mayor Boodle. Also, Coke is superior, but Dr. Pepsi is Yonko level. Guys, no, it's... Oh, Dr. Pepper is Yonko level. Oh, no, I can agree with that. Yeah, Dr. Pepper is actually really good. Dr. Pepper is really good. Real good. J. Teofilo says, missed mine, bro. Dixie was a mod. Who's Dixie? Who are these people? I feel like Patrick in that episode when he thinks he's meeting his parents. Who are you people? I miss Jay's super chat. The C on Ace's tattoo. Ace's tattoo? Do you think it could be related to Uteron Zohar's theory, another foreshadow in his tattoo? I've literally no idea what you're talking about. Let me take a look. I know there's a crossed out S, but I thought that's for Sabo. Oh, C being a C with a dot in the middle? Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Chief D Hater. I don't remember that person. Who's Dixie? Who are these people? Ah, Dixie Normus, you got pranked. Alright, I'll take that over having to remod someone who I've never heard of. Dr. Pepper is the One Piece. Soda tier list. I could do a soda tier list. I don't drink that much soda, though, is the thing. I just drink enough that I know that Coke is better than Pepsi. I could do a fast food tier list. What do you think is the best character without Conqueror's Haki? You don't need Conqueror's Haki to be a good character. You could say strongest. Strongest character without Conqueror's Haki, I assume, would be Garp. I think Mihawk might have Conqueror's Haki, so I'm kind of taking him off. I know Joggerwall says insane Patrick impression. You think it was a good Patrick impression or bad Patrick impression? I thought it was a good Patrick impression. Was it a good Patrick impression or bad? I need the answer for this. Jorgirl says I'll be back to check on my mod status. Jorgirl, I swear to God, I did not intentionally unmod anyone. No one who has been unmodded was intentionally unmodded. Something has happened, and I've lost some mods. And strangely, it was Randy, Troy, and Jorgirl, so I guess just people that have YouTube channels, and Adrian Hakeem. But, no, I did not actively go unmod people. I can, if I so felt like it, but I have not. Thomas Gass says A, Ace S, Sabo C, Crybaby, Luffy E, Edward. Edward? I'm fucking confused. Ace, Sabo, Crybaby, Luffy. Oh, I kind of get it. E is Edward. Who the fuck is Edward? It was a good impression, right? It was a great impression. Alright. Jinho Wong says you unmodded Joker. Yeah, Joker is the only person I've ever unmodded. And if you go back, rewatch that stream, you would understand why. I would unmod him 10 out of 10 times, 100 out of 100 times. Replay that whole scenario over and over, I would unmod him every time. There's no scenario where he gets to remain a mod. Bradley Johnson says, I see through the lies of the Jedi. Howard was a mod. Oh, no. Is it Howard D's Nuts? Oh, Whitebeard is Edward. Oh, god damn it. I forgot. I was like, there's no way there's a character named Edward in One Piece. That's not a One Piece name. No one would go around being named Edward, but totally forgot. There's actually a really important Edward. I just don't think... I think of him as Newgate. I never think of him as Edward. I think of him as Whitebeard, as Newgate. Edward Newgate just doesn't click with me mentally, you know. Edward D's Nuts, it's kind of weak. Kind of weak. Cronin says I replaced Joker. Don't know what that means. Flame Ringer says, what do we need for you to do a Doflamingo cosplay? So one thing I will never ever do is a cosplay. You will never see me doing a cosplay. And this isn't like that time that I said I won't do a waifu tier list. And then I realized that, okay, with enough incentive, I'll do a waifu tier list. This is more like, no, I'm never cosplaying. I'm not a cosplayer. I don't do that. All right? Mod oof. No, if there's one guy that's never getting modded, it's oof. Bashir Ahmed says, what's your take on all the ghost talk? That's an interesting question. I have nothing to say other than, one, I've not looked too much into it, but I know that both, I might be wrong on this, I think both Joy Boy and Randy Troy, so two very active theorists, have been talking about the ghost stuff. I don't know 100%, I'm not going to try and speak for them, but I think that I won't say I know. I think that both of them separately have been talking about the ghost stuff, okay? So I understand that it's floating out there. People have strong reasons for it. I haven't looked too much into those reasons. Princess Taco says, bad impression. BTW, why are you ignoring me? Are we done? Question mark. Princess Taco, I think it was a good impression. And one, I think you've been fairly silent for most of this stream. So if I scroll a little bit, I don't see you whatsoever. So I don't know how I could possibly ignore you when you're not saying anything. Besides that, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh, ghost stuff. Ghost stuff, yeah. So ghost stuff, I mean, all I know is my preference, right? I understand if they've got some reasons for why it's going to happen. Some of it goes back to the Fire Festival, communicating with the dead, things like that. I get that there's reasons for why they might believe it happens, but like, in terms of preference, no, I think it would not be good. You know, I don't think it would be good. Prince Taco says, Morge still owes us the Jinbei cosplay. What? What do you mean? How many times do you guys say Morge still owes us, and then insert thing that I never promised and was never even discussed or talked about? When did I say I would do a Jinbei cosplay? Morge owes us a waifu tier list. What the fuck? When have I ever talked about a waifu tier list? Morge owes us patron polls. Yeah, I owe you guys those. But they had to be canceled for other reasons. So, Morge owes us mod status because we got accidentally unmodded. Yeah, I probably owe you guys mod status if you got accidentally unmodded. But how many times have we had to go through this? I don't do cosplay, and I don't owe you a Jinbei cosplay. Anyway, ghost-wise, I think... Is that the real oof? Nah, that's not the real oof. Hey, say something that only the real oof would say. Marmar's, excellent example. Morge owes us, insert thing. Bollywood dance. No, I don't owe you guys this shit. I've never talked about it. The pirate here says Morge still owes me a kidney. Morge owes us McDonald's. I could do a fast food tier list. I'm always interested in that. Yeah, bottom line, ghost stuff. 100th time I've said this, but anyway. 1131 means island fall in Japanese is electric yellow. Yeah, electro yellow. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Uteron says 1031 could be interpreted to mean, so it's tricky though, because he clarified that it could mean a few things. So he said it could mean Vegapunk, it could mean some other random thing that I forget, but first of all, he said that it could mean that the island comes down, alright? Island coming down is raid fail time, alright? Other thing is, it would be 1032, chapter 1032 would be 75 chapters of Wano, so again, if you believe in the 15s thing, so 15 chapters for Act 1, 30 chapters for Act 2, and that would put Wano at 75 chapters for Act 3. I think in general, in Kabuki plays, Act 3 is supposed to be the longest, and again, ends in tragedy, so we got a lot covered through Act 3, ends in failure, move on to Act 4, now that the island has come down, and we move on from there. So, 1031 thing, pretty interesting to me. Zachariah Zach Zoro says, how do you feel about Zoro being Ryuma's descendant? I had kind of, so, I mean, I was already on the train of like, okay, so Zoro is a Shimotsuki, right? I kind of just accepted that mentally. So this chapter kind of just confirmed that. And then it was one more step of, okay, Zoro being the descendant of Ryuma. I personally don't like it. Personally don't like it, but it's like a soft dislike. I had always much preferred the character of Zoro to be just some kid that has a strong drive. Because I don't know, to me that was one of the things that was special about the character. Because you're in a world where so many characters are either descended from the D tribe, or like, you know, well, I guess that's the main one, right? But like in general have some special lineage, like Sanji's got Judge, things like that. Son of, I don't know, characters can be the son of Rocks, son of Shanks, things like those ideas being thrown around very frequently, son of Big Mom, son of the child of Kaido, so many characters, like important characters, are the son of someone. I really like the idea of Zoro and what Zoro represented, with Zoro just being Zoro, just a kid in a small village who just has a drive to become the world's strongest swordsman. He's not descended from like, sure, like being the son of Shimotsuki Ushimaru and descendant of Ryuma, that doesn't inherently mean you'll be a great swordsman, but you got some good genes, right? Like you're coming from the nation of swordsmen and you come from the lineage of the god of swordsmen. So it's just like a little different, right? It doesn't change the fact that everything he accomplishes is just his own because he had to grow up small dojo, train by himself. It's not like he got the advantages of living in Wano. But I just preferred the idea of like there's not something special backstory wise. It's not like painted into his blood that he wants to be a swordsman. It's just him as a character that had this drive this drive to become so strong that the heavens hear his name, and that drive takes him to the very top. That was something that like it's just you know what it is? Part of it is more so like how much you can resonate with a character. I resonate with Zoro's character so much more with that being who he is, rather than Zoro being the descendant of the god of swordsmen. That's basically it. Because Zoro, as he was just a character that like anyone can kind of like look at and attach some of themselves to, or attach some of their own drive to, and like kind of, I don't know, just yeah, you just connect more with the character in that way, right? So that was my preference for Zoro's character. But all that being said, I don't feel that strongly about it. I think it's cool in some ways that Zoro is the descendant of Ryuma. I didn't want it to be so on the nose. I think even just being the son of Shimotsuki Yoshimaru, but not necessarily saying that, okay, that means he's the descendant of Ryuma. Ryuma could be a separate figure, right? I would have been more okay with that, but, you know, it is what it is. It's not a big deal, I don't think. I think I would have thought it's a bigger deal at some point, but now I've kind of just, like, partly mentally accepted that a lot of characters are just going to be the son of some other important character. Like Shanks, son of Rocks or whatever. Kid, who knows whose Kid's father is and stuff. Kid is the last one I'm still holding out for, is not the son of someone important. Kid is the last one I can hope for, you know? Edward, what's up? Edward. Alright, Edward says you called. I'm talking about Edward Newgate, but good to see you too, man. BTW, I need Momo to just hold up Onigashima, not fight Kaido for real. Bad writing if he does, and Coke is top tier. 100% agree with you at Coke. But, yeah, I think we'll just get, at least for this act, we're just going to get Momo holding up Onigashima. At least for this act. I would hate it if Momo is crucial to the final fight of Kaido and, like, deals a huge scar or something like that to Kaido. Because it would just be, that's a little crude. I like it if Oda aged him up specifically at the moment for this purpose of holding up Onigashima. S. Tempest says, all memes aside about Buggy being strong, you think with how much Oda likes Buggy and makes him fall backwards into power, that by the end of the series he could be a Yonko or something like that? So I've heard people say this, and they use the idea that, well, Buggy became a Shichibukai, therefore he'll become a Yonko. I think the difference is that the title of Yonko, I think it's special in the story, in that there's a certain weight or significance to it that Oda attaches that it's not the same as Shichibukai. Like, just reading the reactions of Luffy being named the 5th Emperor, I don't think that that's something that Oda would ever want to cheapen. Like, just the idea of what it means to become a Yonko in the pirate world, to rise to that height, essentially that you are an emperor of the sea, right? Like, you are you know, you can even go back to, like, Sun Wukong's story of, like, how he defeated the 4 dragons of the sea. Like, that's a very important, you know, that's just a very, very important cornerstone part of the universe that, like, it says so much. If you get to that height, it says a lot about what you've achieved in the world, right? It's representative of the climb to Pirate King, and I don't think that Oda takes that climb lightly. Like, he really wants to play up the importance of that and what it means to reach that level. So I think specifically with the title of Yonko, I think that's one thing that might be a little too sacred for Oda to have Buggy fall into. Because Shichibukai, as we learned over time, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's not that big of a deal to be a Shichibukai, right? It's a cool title, but it doesn't represent, you know, like a crucial step on the climb to Pirate King or something like that, right? So I think Shichibukai will be the highest Buggy rises in that sense, but he could continue to get more clout as the story goes along, but I don't think his title will go up. It might be something like, here's something that I think could be a cool title for Buggy: Commander of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, right? So instead of Yonko, imagine we're at the end of the story, Buggy is the head of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, so meaning the greatest armada in the sea, right? The Pirate King's Grand Fleet, Buggy is the commander of the entire Grand Fleet, all right? He's the head of the full Grand Fleet. I think that is something that makes sense, that we can get behind. That is, a huge position way beyond Buggy's rank, being the commander of the fleet of the Pirate King, the King of the Seas. He's the general of the army of the King of the Seas. But it keeps him out of that Yonko realm where it's like a crucial step on the path to becoming Pirate King, because that would kind of cheapen what that is to be a Yonko. Captain faces, if the raid fails, I'd want Zoro to inspire the weak and old citizens of Wano along with the spirit broken. Yes, injured samurai to take up arms by using conquerors like Odin, while Luffy calls Grand Fleet. Yes, 100% on Zoro's end. Zoro started this arc saying, I will round up the samurai of Wano. Did none of that. Zero leadership from Zoro throughout this arc entirely, but Oda is aware of that, right? Oda has had Zoro quoted saying to Hiyori, essentially, too many captains will sink the ship, which is why I'm going to stay out of this, all right? So Zoro starts the arc talking about leadership. I'll round up the samurai of Wano. Zoro later on, he's bumming around, chasing after his sword, not helping the Alliance at all. He's on his own little side quest. He says, too many captains will sink the ship. I'm going to stay out of this, let others lead. Then 3, we're at this point of the arc where we're finding out Conqueror's Haki is really important. This is the arc where we discover Zoro has Conqueror's Haki. This is the arc that seems to be really important for Zoro's character, considering how much information and backstory we're getting around him. So leadership should play a role in Zoro's part. So I do think the raid failing and Zoro being the one who actually has to bring a lot of the crushed samurai back to their feet and do something that normally we trust Luffy to do. For example, we saw Luffy in the prison. But Zoro is actually having to play into this leadership role. I think that is perfect for his character. Perfect for his character. Perfect progression. Chino Wong says, Zoro backstory coming more. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get it all in the flow of this fight, but maybe in between acts. Chris Hansen says, do you think Zoro gets the Nidai Kitetsu? Chris Hansen's here. Yeah, I think Zoro definitely gets the Nidai Kitetsu. I think it'd be crazy if he did not by the end of this arc. Interesting that it's not in his hands yet. Almost as though we need to progress a little further for him to get that stuff. Aslan, been a while since I saw you. Why don't you think Zoro will cut Onigashima in half? That's a funny question. Why don't you think Zoro will cut Onigashima in half? Why don't I think Zoro will cut Onigashima? As if, like, that's the obvious expectation and I'm crazy to not think that'll happen. I don't know, Zoro could, maybe by the end of this arc, like, in terms of capability, sure, maybe Zoro would be capable of cutting Onigashima in half, but I don't think he necessarily, like, maybe he might. Maybe. I don't think either way in terms of, like, oh, there's been some symbolic visual foreshadowing that Zoro's going to cut Onigashima in half, you know? Like, I didn't watch Dressrosa and be like, all right, Zoro's definitely going to cut Riku's castle in half or something like that, you know? He did cut Pika, which is kind of close. But, like, I don't watch each arc being like, Zoro's going to cut the biggest thing in the arc in half. I think he could. It's just that there's been literally nothing. When I say I think he could, like, I could totally see a world where Oda writes all that happening, right? I'm not saying that you're crazy for thinking that. I'm just like, but I haven't seen anything that would indicate to me that that's definitely, at least like with ZKK, they do have their reasoning, right? They do have, you can go back to Punk Hazard and you find images of Zoro like cutting a dragon in half, for example. You can find reasoning for why you would think Zoro is going to kill Kaido by the end of this. But like something random like, well, why don't you think Zoro's going to cut Onigashima? I never thought Zoro was going to cut. Like, that just wasn't a thought that really crossed my mind, you know? I did answer Chris Hansen's super chat. C. Whitney says, hello, my name is Rorona no Zoro. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Great reference. Chubby Alonso says, even if Zoro cuts Onigashima, the pieces will still fall on Wano. That's very true. Also, literally everybody inside just dies. If they're in the line of the slash, you know, Zoro's killing how many of his comrades with that big slash? The halves of Onigashima just fall to either side, crushing everyone in the Flower Capital. That'll be hilarious. Gabe D. Champ says, how do you feel about Sanji also getting Conqueror's Haki? No, he's not getting Conqueror's Haki. Here's the thing. So, how do I explain this? This is funny, okay? For a long time, between Zoro fans and Sanji fans, right? For a long time between Zoro fans and Sanji fans. I'd say ever since Whole Cake Island, definitely for most of Wano. For most of Wano, Zoro fans have been getting a lot. Sanji fans, very little, and not just very little, they've been having like a lot of moments that make Sanji look not great, right? So it's been a long time. It was to the point that you can go to JD Legend, a die-hard Sanji supporter. You can find him talking about, you know what, Oda has decided that, Sanji's main role in the story is a cook. He's a cook. That's how Oda wants to portray him. He's not going to keep portraying him as like Zoro's rival or something like that, right? I think even you can find diehard Sanji fans kind of reconciling with themselves that, oh man, it's just not the same as it used to be, Oda's not going to keep writing Sanji the old way. He has crafted out a different niche for his character, and you can see many of them coming to terms with that, right? And Zoro fans getting all their way, like, it's the most skewed I'd ever seen the Zoro-Sanji dynamic ever, right? In terms of, like, who has the upper hand. Most skewed ever, because it's been so long since Sanji had gotten anything to suggest that the monster trio still exists. And I'm there, and I'm seeing everything, and I'm like, no, you guys don't understand, like, the monster trio is gonna be back. They will literally always be back. It's just been a while, right? So I'm finding myself putting out video after video defending Sanji adamantly, being like, I put out those 3 videos, right, that I talked about in that monster trio recap video of like why the monster trio will never change, why Jinbei's not changing the monster trio, how the Zoro dynamic actually works, Zoro-Sanji dynamic actually works, why Oda does not in fact hate Sanji and he's just saving Sanji. I was doing all these things to kind of like push Sanji fans back up, like, keep your chin up, guys. This is all, it's all gonna go back to normal soon. Don't worry about it. Don't stress about your guy Sanji too much, okay? So so all of the Sanji stuff, poor Sanji fans, down on their luck, beaten down, Zoro fans running amok. Sanji fans have started accepting that Sanji's just not up there with Zoro anymore. Zoro's fighting Kaido alongside Luffy at this point in time, scarring Kaido, blocking attacks from Kaido and Big Mom. Zoro fans on top of the world, Sanji fans like buried 6 feet underground or something like that. Okay? And, again, all this time I'm finding myself trying to defend and be like, guys, just wait, Sanji's going to get his moment, etc., right? Then Sanji finally gets his moment. And we get Zoro and Sanji fighting King and Queen together. We get a clear highlight of that old duo back, the rivalry's back. Everybody's happy with Sanji again. And so as soon as Sanji gets his shine, literally as soon as Sanji gets his shine, and we finally get a bit of that old dynamic back, literally as soon as we get the smallest shit. I used to say don't give a Zoro fan a cookie because you want, it's like don't give a mouse a cookie. If you give a Zoro fan a cookie, then Sudi's going to want some milk, etc. If you give a Zoro scarring Kaido, Zoro fans want him to kill Kaido. All that shit, right? Same shit with Sanji fans. I forgot how bad the other side of the spectrum is. Now, like 2 chapters after Sanji finally starts getting some moments, people are talking about, doesn't this mean Sanji's going to get Conqueror's Haki? More, do you think Sanji's getting Conqueror's Haki? Here are all the reasons Sanji's going to get Conqueror's Haki. Of course Sanji's going to get Conqueror's Haki, etc., etc., etc. No, I totally forgot. Sanji fans have been down bad for so long, and they've had so few arguments to go off of, and so few, like they're struggling to even argue that Sanji's, like, top 3 in the crew. Like, people trying to put Jinbei and shit above him already, right? People, for so long, Sanji was so far off that, like, they were just struggling to survive. But now, as soon as Sanji's getting, like, a bit of shine, it's the worst shit in the world from the other. Like, I totally forgot. I totally forgot how annoying it is on the other end. No, Sanji's character makes 0 sense for Conqueror's Haki. You just want him to have Conqueror's Haki because Zoro has Conqueror's Haki. That's literally it. Now I'm reminded of all of the reasons that Sanji fans can be just as annoying as Zoro fans. You give him one bit of, him kicking Queen and getting some cool moments against King and Queen does not equate to his entire character changing to warrant Conqueror's Haki. These 2 things are not related in the slightest. Sorry for the rant, but, you guys understand what I'm saying? It's like, you give an inch, you gain an inch, and then suddenly you want the whole thing. Even if it doesn't fucking make sense. Right? That's all I'm saying. That's all. I totally forgot. Mike, thanks a lot. Sanji's enhanced human would kill the character. What? Kill the character? What does that even mean? Kill the character. Well, it would kill the character for me. I didn't scroll that. Yeah, no, I mean, I agreed with you. I talked about this a little earlier. I think I would prefer, it wouldn't kill the character for me, but I would definitely prefer him not being a successful experiment by Judge. Princess Taco, thanks a lot for the emoji. Captain Face says Kaido flashback at start of Act 4 to mirror Odin's. That's a good idea. I like that, Captain Face. I don't know if it's going to fit into Act 3. I think it might be one of those things we get a bit of, like, a quick montage glimpses of it before he beats down Luffy. And then Act 4, we get the full scope of it. Because I don't know if Oda would want to interrupt the action like that. Although, I mean, he's done that stuff in the past. Doflamingo's flashback. No, but he did Doflamingo's flashback before all the fights happened. Yeah, so I don't think you want to include a full-on, like, 2-3 chapter flashback in the midst of your final fight. So I think we might get, like, small montages. Aslan says, Morge, if this hurts, I'm sorry, but just to let you know, your worst video is probably your Shanks Mihawk video. I don't know what a hockey specialist is. Aslan just commented to tell me my worst video. I don't know what a hockey specialist is. It's... Alright, I'll just take it and be like, alright, that's my worst video then, if Aslan tells me that. So, I was going more so to the discussion surrounding what being a swordsman means versus what being a hockey specialist means. I think some of those differentiations are a little dumb because hockey is inherently used in swordsmanship. Like, you don't turn off hockey. Zoro and Mihawk aren't going to turn off their hockey when they fight each other, right? Hockey is part of swordsmanship. Stuff like punches and kicks, like King might do, that's probably a little separate. If Shanks has external hockey abilities that are not related to swordsmanship, like if Shanks can shoot like a fucking laser beam out of his hand or something, that's obviously not swordsmanship. So I'm trying to like speculate a bit as to what some of the differences might be. Differentiations. And why it's not like a straightforward, like, okay, Mihawk has this title, therefore he's definitely stronger. But also not that the title means nothing. Maybe he is stronger. I just personally doubt it. Aslan says, please clarify this, Morge. I guess I kind of just did. That was my worst video, apparently. Mukuro D. Joestar says, so do you think Don Shinjao, a person that has Conqueror's Haki, can beat Sanji? Yeah, exactly. I don't think that Conqueror's Haki is not strength. That's my point, though. Conqueror's Haki is not strength. It's just a point of your character, right? And it gives you access to another ability that a lot of other characters might not have. But I don't think like all the strongest users are Conqueror's Haki users. It's probably a strong skew towards many of the strongest users being Conqueror's Haki users. But as far as we know, Garp doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. And if Garp, as far as we know, doesn't have Conqueror's Haki, then Sanji sure doesn't fucking need it. Yeah. There's plenty of people who have Conqueror's Haki, like Boa or Whitebeard, who don't care of Conqueror. Well, I don't really know what that means. They don't care about Conqueror's Haki. Yeah, do I think Jinbei has Conqueror's Haki? No, of course not. How strong will Prime Sanji be, says Unbeaten? I think you can call whatever your definition of Admiral level is, I'd say that. I think Sanji will be able to beat an Admiral by the end of the series. So, take that for what you will. Maruko says, hey Morge, this is my very first super chat, lol. Thanks, I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Maruko. Bingo Bongo, nice name. Hey Morge, how would you feel if Kaido was killed by a Zoro-Luffy combo attack? Luffy knocks Kaido unconscious and Zoro takes his head right after. So, here's the thing. I've never understood, and this is not to be harsh towards you, Bingo Bongo. This is like a general question. I've never understood, and I've talked about this before, in streams, in a reverie even, I think, not my reverie, the reverie before that, Roger's reverie, I've never understood the Zoro killing Kaido idea where if you're saying Zoro kills Kaido, right? If you're saying Zoro kills Kaido, then I assume you're saying that Zoro is the one who defeats Kaido. He gets the last blow, he finishes Kaido, right? Because otherwise, like the scenario that you talked about, is, Luffy beats down Kaido and then Zoro beheads him or finishes off a defeated Kaido or something like that. And to me, that's crazy. Because that's some pussy shit. That's not some shit that, like, what is there? Why would you even want that for Zoro? Like, Zoro's just, he's not doing anything. He's just an executioner. Like, somebody else defeated Kaido. So when Kaido's on the ground, basically defeated, Zoro comes up and cuts off his head? I literally don't get it. Why would you want that for Zoro's character? What satisfaction do you get up? Like, Kaido's on the ground, Zoro comes up and cuts off his head, and are you like fist pumping? Like, fuck yeah, that's my favorite character. That's my goat. Zoro. Like, what is it? That's not a feat. That's not like a battle moment. It's not an epic moment. If anything, it's honestly even against Zoro's own like approach to battle and opponents, in that I don't think Zoro would ever like come across someone that someone else beat. Like, Zoro doesn't even like, he turns around to let you cut him because a swordsman never shows his back, right? So I don't think that, and obviously Kaido's not a swordsman, but you get the like, there's a sense of honor or whatever that Zoro approaches his opponents with. I don't think Zoro would ever just be like, oh, okay, Luffy beat down this guy, time to come up and like cut off his head now. That's so weird. Like, what is he at that point? He's like one of the two, you know, those executioners on Gold Roger's execution stand? That's what Zoro, is that a hype moment? Do you think those executioners there were really hype, cool characters? You know, those two guards that cut off Roger's head? You know, was that hype? Are you like, those guys are like the coolest characters of the series? Someone else, you know, Roger got captured. They didn't have anything to do with it, but like, they sure as hell cut off his head when he couldn't do anything about it. I literally don't get it. If you're saying Zoro kills Kaido, you got to think through the whole thing. What are you asking for? Are you saying A, Zoro is the one who defeats Kaido and kills him? Which I think is crazy, because I think we all know that Luffy would be the one more likely to defeat Kaido. Or B, if you accept that Luffy's going to defeat Kaido, but then you think Zoro's going to fucking execute him, like behead him, like some sort of a... What are you talking about? Like, have you read this character? Why would he do that? That's so weird. And it's like not an impressive thing or a cool thing for a character to do. You know, it's kind of a bitch move. It's not cool. It would not be a cool move for Zoro. That would be like top 5 lowest moments for his character. Probably the lowest moment for his character. It's the equivalent of the Sanji nosebleed. Zoro walks up to a beaten Kaido on the ground and cuts his head off. Does that get you hype? What is wrong with you? Mike says, when was the last time Sanji brought up All Blue? It's like Oda completely forgot that Sanji is a big dreamer like Luffy. If All Blue is the One Piece, I think that Oda has it in his own incentive to not mention the All Blue too frequently throughout the series. But that's, you know, that's my headcanon. It's not even headcanon. That's my, you know, speculation on why Oda would not include it. He included it as a gag moment, for example, in as they're leaving Fishman Island, probably because, as we've talked about, the destruction of the All Blue would involve the destruction of Fishman Island. Like, All Blue, the spot of it, would be where Fishman Island is right now, so it's actually Oda being a little clever with the gag of like, oh, this is my All Blue, when in actuality, by the end of the story, it will be his All Blue. But beyond that, I don't think Oda has an incentive to keep mentioning it throughout the series. Maybe he should more to work in the importance of Sanji's dream as it relates to, you know, Sanji and Luffy having that bond. But I don't think it's that important, but I agree that it would be good if he did more. The pirate here says, agreed with your Zoro execution point. Also, does the recent Zoro King interaction last chapter say anything about what it means to be a swordsman? It definitely does. It depends how much you want to read into it. From the last chapter, I think what it's just going to come down to is we got to see the full extent of what Shanks can do, how Shanks can fight. Shanks can't punch you, you know, as well as King can, because he's kind of just got one arm. So it does redefine slightly what a swordsman can be, depending on how much is King going to be using his punches, how much is he going to be using just fireballs and shit like that, how much of his fighting style is related to his sword. Because, to be honest, King hasn't pulled out, like, this is the first chapter King has pulled out a sword, right? King has not been fighting much with a sword whatsoever. He's been fighting Marco, he fought Sanji, he's been doing a lot of fighting without a sword. So yeah, we can fully understand that King is not a pure swordsman. That we didn't need this chapter to clarify that. That doesn't apply to Sanji. Shanks. Shanks isn't a fucking pterodactyl with fire manipulation abilities or even an extra arm. As far as we know with Shanks, he's just got a sword. So let's see how it goes. And he has duels with Mihawk, right? So if you challenge someone to a duel, you understand that there's some level of swordsmanship there. The thing that holds me back is that I think Shanks is portrayed stronger overall. So to me, that would indicate that Shanks has some hockey abilities, most likely Conqueror's hockey abilities, that are clearly not swordsmanship, basically. Because we've seen that you can even use Conqueror's hockey in conjunction with swordsmanship with Zoro's Ashura. But I would assume that the only way that makes sense to me for Shanks to be stronger than Mihawk, but not as strong in terms of swordsmanship, would be if Shanks has access to Conqueror's hockey abilities, like perhaps long-distance attacks, perhaps, I don't know, that are clearly not swordsmanship. That's my rationalization, but I think at this point, it's honestly best to save the strongest swordsman, who's stronger between Mihawk and Shanks interactions, till we get the full extent of what Shanks can do, and then we can clarify and be like, okay, that's clearly just a swordsman. Shanks is clearly just a fucking swordsman. He doesn't do anything besides use a sword. Versus, okay, that doesn't seem that much like swordsmanship to me. That's not a swordsmanship move, you know? I think when we see Shanks fight, we'll be able to... I don't think it'll be that complicated once we get to see Shanks fight. Princess Taco says, Morge, my other name was Luna Moon, and I gave you the idea for islands. I'm still salty because I received no recognition. Morge, you tyrant. I don't know what you're talking about. I gave you the idea for the islands. I'm still salty because I received no recognition. Morge, you tyrant. I don't know who Luna Moon is. I don't know what islands idea you're talking about. I'm sorry, Princess Taco, but maybe you could clarify. I will look out for your next comment. Thomas Cass says, I don't get why Sanji never learned Tempest Kick. Because it's a cutting move, and I feel like Oda wants to save cutting moves more so for, what do you call? I don't think Oda wants Sanji to impede too much into Zoro's power set, right? So cutting is Zoro's thing. You know, because, like, if it gets into, like, okay, how strong is Sanji's strongest Rankyaku? Is it as strong as Zoro's strongest cutting attack? I think that gets into too much overlap in terms of abilities. One sec, catching up, guys. Am I caught up? Hold on. Apolina Top Hat says, if Usopp gets Conqueror's Haki, does it make sense with his character? Yes, I think Usopp, it does make sense with his character. And again, Usopp's not going to be one of the strongest characters in the story, probably never even one of the strongest Straw Hats, but I think it makes sense for his character to get Conqueror's Haki, as opposed to Sanji, who doesn't make any fucking sense. Adrian Hakeem says, you missed my last super chat, but second question. I'm sorry, Adrian. I'll look out for your comment as well. So I'm looking out for yours, I'm looking out for Princess Taco's. But second question, what do you expect to happen to Kaido at the end? He won't die, but he won't be in the story. Thoughts? No, I think he could die, but I think he won't die in an epic way. That's the thing. I don't think he will die in an epic way, because I think that no matter what, he should not get the epic death he is looking for. So I think he could be killed once he's imprisoned or something like that by a surprise character or in a surprising manner we're not thinking of at the moment. But I don't think it should be glorious, essentially. Aryaman Luffy says, Kaido will laugh one-shot Odin's copy. I don't know what that means. Kaido will laugh one-shot Odin's copy. I literally don't know what that means. One-shot Odin's copy. What's Odin's copy? Who's Odin's copy? Oh, me, Momonosuke? One-shot Momonosuke? Maybe? Jason Todd says, if Big Mom dies, what happens to her homies? Oh, that's scary. I hope Big Mom doesn't die then, because... you know, we kind of want Zeus to stick around, that's for sure. I would assume they die, but maybe not. Maybe they don't, because if she's like a mother, so she's creating life, so, you know, the life that she spread around, it's going to grow without her. I would rather that be the case, so that we kind of keep the homies, and I like the homies, but, you know. Maybe Big Mom does not die by the end of the story. Mike Riley says, Comrade Morge, I doubt Raftel is on the moon rotates around the earth. How could the set-in-stone road poneglyphs point to a moving body? Because it could just be at a certain time of the day. So all they have to inscribe on a poneglyph is be like, these coordinates at this time of the day, and I think we're set, right? I don't know 100%, 100% if, what do you call? You know, like, how lunar cycles work, so maybe time of the day doesn't just fix it, but, like, maybe it's something similar to that. I feel like that works though, right? This time of the day, where the moon is in the sky, that works. Mike says, in my opinion, I needed a light greater than nothing happened. I'm not going to go with you on that one. I think nothing happened is way better. One of the top videos in the thing. Princess Taco says, your video on the next 4 islands, I asked you that question and everyone in the chat was spamming it because you missed it. So you decided to make a video about it because it would do well. Okay, so then... That's true. You did give me the idea to do that topic, but I was going to do that topic at some point regardless. You just said, what do you think of the next island? So you did ask at one point, what do you think the next islands are going to be? And I decided to save that for a video topic. So yes, Princess Taco, I did technically get inspired by your question to decide to just turn my response to that question into a video. I don't think I need to give you credit for asking the question that prompted it. Like if you gave me like a theory like, hey Morge, I think the raid's gonna fail, and that's the time that sparked in my mind, oh, the raid's gonna fail, let me make a theory about this, then I got you, then I feel I probably have to credit. But like, like last chat, two people, I have their names written down. I think one of them was Dom, gave me two ideas on what Chopper's abilities could be, or power-ups for the arc. So I wrote those down. So I would give them credit if I included that in the theory. But asking me the question that prompts me to make a theory is not the same as me needing to give you credit. Roblo Smile says, King said he doesn't fight like a swordsman, so this is supposed to highlight what a real swordsman's supposed to be. Yeah, maybe over the course of this fight we'll get more, but Zoro's been having, you could go all the way back to the Kabaji fight, and Zoro could put on a t-shirt like, oh, you're not a real swordsman. Because it's been like this over and over. He fights Kabaji, and very quickly into the Kabaji fight, he's like, you're not a real swordsman. You use your tricks and stuff. He fights Mr. One. Partway through the fight, he's like, you're not a real swordsman either. And then he's fighting King. He's like, not a real swordsman, bro. Like, Zoro gets into these situations very frequently where it's like, what do you call? Okay, now everyone's rebelling. Anuj Agarwal is like, you tell him, Princess Taco, the whole idea of doing tier lists for streams was my idea during the 100K collaboration, and I also never got credit. Anuj, do you want me to write at the top of every tier list? One, I don't remember this, okay? You're not the first person to invent tier list streams. Two, you want me to write at the top of every tier list stream, inspired by Anuj Agarwal? What do you want me to do with this? If anything, okay, Anuj, I'll credit you if you give me another good idea to do streams, because, tier list streams, have been doing them for a bit. Good way to mix it up. If you give me a good way to mix it up, I will credit you for that. I'll put Anuj Agarwal's idea, I don't know, in small text at the top or bottom or something like that for the first stream we do with that new idea. All right, let's do that. Shit. Wait, where are we? Okay, we're almost caught up. One more. Cronin says more. Zoro said he would tear off King's neck with his teeth if it comes to that, so wouldn't that discredit the idea of a pure swordsman? I think Zoro is eschewing the idea of a pure swordsman for the moment, because as he's saying, we can't afford to lose here, so he'll do what it takes. So in this moment, we could take this as not a pure swordsman's duel, but more so just one person's coming out alive sort of situation. Shinho Wong says, didn't you say Conqueror's Haki will play a crucial role winning in Wano? Yes, 100%. Princess Taco says, and I still bought the plushie. Thank you, Princess Taco. I appreciate it. More, choose the best written character in One Piece. It's too hard to say. Maybe because the tricky thing with One Piece, the tricky thing with saying that with One Piece is that a lot of characters, they, especially with the Straws, right? So they'll get their original arc, and that will do a tremendous amount of work for the character, and then the character will develop much, much less over the course of the story. Still developing, but it's much more soft, subtle. It's not in your face, so it's tricky because you could look at just the Water 7 Enies Lobby arc. So Robin's arc from her introduction in Alabasta or Whiskey Peak, Robin's arc from her introduction through the end of Enies Lobby, I think that was the best character arc written in One Piece, personally, that entire storyline of Robin. But then you can look at Robin from then to the rest of the series and be like, well, by most standards, this isn't the most well-developed character just because they've been stagnant seemingly for a long period of time. So it depends. One Piece is tricky like that. I think Luffy, honestly, is the best written character, but not in the way you would think traditionally. I just think that Luffy, the way his character is written, you will not find another character. You can find characters with traits like Luffy, you'd be like, well, Luffy's just like Goku, or Luffy's just like insert this shonen hero. And that's true, you'll find a lot of surface level similarities, but what Luffy is and how Oda uses him throughout the story, and there's too much that you could say about Luffy. I think Luffy is probably one of the most unique characters you'll find in fiction, and there's literally no one like him. I think conceptually Luffy's just a brilliant character. Captain Face says, and we're going to call the stream in 5 minutes, all right? Captain Face says, Princess Taco says, I will lead us to the dawn where Morge is no longer the tyrant. Okay. Captain Face says Oda highlighted that Usopp's plant attacks couldn't damage ulti or page 1. Do you think his upgrade this arc could be coating his plants in armament hockey? You could get a hockey bloom if tortured. I would love that. I would personally love that. I think that would be amazing. In general, the only reason I can... Adrian Akeen says, where's my plushie tyrant? Plushes are coming in 1 to 2 months. It'll be a little bit. I think October is when they're coming. But yeah, I think Usopp, the only justification I can have for Oda giving him plants as his power-up is because Usopp grows a lot as a character. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. Oh wait, this is cool. Anuj Agrawal has a great idea, actually. All right, everyone listen up. Wait, let me finish that Usopp thing before I forget. Yeah, and no more super chats, guys. I'm ending the stream in like, I don't know, a few minutes, basically. So no more super chats, done for the day. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, but no more. Seriously, after this. I will not respond to the next one after this. Yeah, maybe because it's representative of Usopp's character that Usopp, he grows the most as a character. All right. You guys think I'm joking, but I will soon literally not answer super chats. So then you will give the money for nothing, and YouTube will just be taking it. All right. But yeah, point being, but I don't think it's a cool ability for him. Like, I guess it could be representative of Usopp being the one that has to grow the most as a character, so he has plans as his ability, but it kind of makes no sense based on his arsenal pre-time skip. And honestly, if he just kept advancing the arsenal he had pre-time skip in terms of like explosives and dials and stuff like that, I think that would have been a lot cooler. But I get what Oda's kind of trying to do. I think definitely adding hockey would be a really great way to improve that. So, or something, because Usopp just needs something. These plants are not going to cut it in the long run. So, Anuj Agrawal, thank you very much. He suggests, why don't you do basically Reddit theory reviews, where you review One Piece Reddits for theories, sort by the top, and review the top 20 in the last month. That is a cool idea. The tricky thing is I try to stay away from like Reddit in terms of theories. Just because nowadays I mostly only go to the One Piece Reddit if someone tags me in a post, and then I ended up browsing for like a little bit, or right after a chapter comes out, because I like reading like people's responses to the chapter coming out. So I don't see Reddit theories too much nowadays. I kind of want to stay away from them just so I can like not have other people's theories like influencing my own. Like I've told you before, if there's like a really, really good theory out there, I actually try to stay away from it. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the Wano report period where there's like a really cool theory about the moon going around. And people were pushing us to talk about it on the Wano report. So I started reading and I was like, oh no, this theory is too interesting, Ohara, can we not talk about it? So then Ohara made his own theory about it. Or Ohara's like new theory he made from Uteron, right? Like, if it's a really good theory, I try and stay away from it. I'd heard that Marco the One Piece theorist had solved the traitor theory being Kanjuro, so I tried to stay away from that discussion. So I actually try to avoid good theories, because like I just don't want to get spoiled. Like if I think of it, I'm okay with it, but I try not to get spoiled on stuff. So I'll think about that, Anuj, but that's a really good idea. All right, Cronin says, if Zoro feels that way about King, then wouldn't Mihawk fight swordsmen as swordsmen and non-swordsmen anyway? That guarantees a victory. Then wouldn't Mihawk fight swordsmen as swordsmen and non-swordsmen anyway? That guarantees a victory. I don't really get what you're talking about. I don't really get it. Yeah, I kind of don't get it. But yeah, I literally don't get it. What are you talking about? Swordsman and non-swordsman guarantees a victory? I don't think Mihawk's fighting duels with Shanks and losing those duels and keeping the title of World's Strongest Swordsman, if that's what you're saying. But I do think that Shanks could still be stronger overall while in the field of swordsmanship, losing those duels to Mihawk. I guess that's what I'm saying. I don't really understand your question. Ariman Luffy says, who do you think is the strongest Yonko? I mean, today, I don't know. I'll say Shanks maybe is the strongest Yonko. But it's really hard to tell. It could be... I just know it's not fucking Big Mom. Cronin says, no more super chats. Thanks, man. I just know it's not Big Mom. Yeah, I think it could be Shanks or I'd put my money on Shanks or Kaido. Blackbeard, I think, will be the strongest by the end of the story, but I think Blackbeard, the way he talks about Kaido, suggests that Blackbeard is not stronger than Kaido just yet. And the way that he addressed Shanks at the end of Marineford War suggested Blackbeard is not ready to fight Shanks yet. Maybe things have changed. So I think Blackbeard will be the strongest by the end of the story. I think Shanks and or Kaido is the strongest right now, if I had to pick. Water, these are the last two. I'm literally not answering anything after this, so I'm ending the stream after these two questions. Water says, Thoughts on Law being part of Sword and Garp being the leader? Um, Law being part of Sword. I mean, I've heard that theory. That's a Randy theory. Um, I think it could work. I think it's cool. I would prefer not. These are those things that fall into preferences for the character. I would prefer no, because if Law's part of Sword, then that kind of turns this whole thing where like he set up this plan to take out Doflamingo. It puts this extra sort of light on this. It changes the perception of it a little bit, right? I preferred the idea that Law really was someone who was a good-hearted person who was turned into a good-hearted person by Corazon, right? Then everything went downhill for him, etc. And he was a good-hearted person who was basically everything he's done since then was personally motivated for revenge, and he built his life around taking down Doflamingo. I would not like it as much if this was all also like under the umbrella of Sword, and like Law essentially like everything Law has done as a pirate has been framed around him actually being a secret member of Sword. So it makes it less him and his missions. Maybe it was still him going out on a limb and deciding to take down Doflamingo on his own, but it just turns him in. It turns the motivations behind him and a lot of like the entire path he's taken as a character throughout the story. It puts it in a different light, and I don't know if I'd necessarily like that light for him. I would prefer if he turned into like a singularly minded individual after the death of Corazon, who built this crew with the intent of like he was genuinely a pirate, but with the goal of taking down Doflamingo. That's me. So I'm not going to give like story reasons like, as much of like, well, what about with Sengoku and the interactions with Sengoku? Is Sengoku like, like why didn't Law bring up Sword to Sengoku and stuff like that? And as for Garp being the leader of Sword, I don't know about that. I don't think that necessarily fits with Garp. I don't know if Garp would want a position like that, like being in charge of Sword. I don't know if he's too much of a loose cannon to really be in charge of an organization like that, I think. So that's my take on it. The Word Slinger says, "Hey Morch, just broke my collarbone. Thanks for the clutch stream to help make me feel better." Yeah, Word Slinger, no problem. I'm sorry about that collarbone, man. I'm glad the stream could give you some entertainment. And last question, Apollina Tophead says, "Why does it make sense for Usopp to get Conqueror's Haki?" I agree because Usopp's my favorite character. I just want to hear why it makes sense narratively for him and not Sanji. I'd love for an Usopp analysis video. So maybe I can expand more in another video or something like that, why it would make sense for his character. But the three characters throughout the series, consistently, that Oda chooses to exemplify. One, I could give the easy BS answer of Usopp, not BS answer, but the baby answer. If Usopp lied initially about saying, he lied at one point in the story about having Conqueror's Haki. I think he lies in Zoe saying, "I have Conqueror's Haki," and Usopp's lies tend to come true, yada, 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 right? So that's the simple answer, right? We can throw that in and be like, well, Usopp lied about it, therefore it will come true. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case for literally all of Usopp's lies, so I'm not just going to run with that. But that's like a good little thread that like Oda at least planted that in the story, right? Now, the three characters in the Straw Hats throughout the story that Oda chooses to exemplify the idea of strength of will and spirit, the three characters consistently are Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp. Okay? Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp, those are Oda's three go-tos in terms of strength of spirit, strength of will. And they all come out a little bit differently, right? I think Luffy and Zoro's is more so like never yielding, never like in terms of how much they can take on themselves, never giving up, never like Luffy's is very much the never giving up angle, right? So Luffy will get knocked down, get back up, knocked down, get back up over and over and over again. Zoro is how much he simply endures. So Zoro, you will regularly see arc after arc, essentially, whether it be Arlong Park, even just his very first fight in the story against Kabaji. He's always fighting with some sort of disadvantage or some sort of severe injury. Always is a strong word, but very frequently, right? How much Zoro is able to endure and simply overcome it. You see that with Kabaji, you see that with Arlong Park, the Mihawk incident, Mr. One Fight, bloodiest fight for Zoro in the series, maybe bloodiest fight for anyone in the series. Zoro endures it the entire time. Nothing happened. All this stuff, Oda really, really likes putting Zoro through the ringer in terms of how much pain and simply overcoming it, because that's the strength of his spirit. And throughout the story, that's what Oda really likes to highlight about these two characters. Luffy, we don't need to really go into as much, but Luffy's always being punched down, taking severe losses, etc., always getting back up, and always pushing forward and progressing. Okay? So Luffy and Zoro, those two. Usopp, also, strength of spirit is the, like, Out of those three, he's the third in terms of strength of spirit that Oda really likes to highlight. But Usopp's, it's a little different because Usopp is usually, he's more human. That's the thing, that's the really cool appeal of Usopp, is that he's more human in it, and that Usopp on the surface, and I mean, not even on the surface, it is genuinely a part of his character. He is the most scared, he is the most worried, he has the most fear, he doesn't believe in himself, etc., etc. He's not like those two other guys. He's not built like those two other guys. But when it really, really, really comes down to it, when a certain chord is struck, or a certain nerve is struck, or a certain threshold is hit for Usopp, he is like them. And that's what's really cool about his character. When it really, really comes down to it, there is a part about inside Usopp where there is the spirit that can rise to be like Luffy and Zoro. And part of it is because he's so weak physically compared to those guys. He's not a monster like them physically. That he's not going to have these moments where he takes out the big bad of the big boss of the arc. But proportionally, what Usopp pulls off in terms of the strength of the opponents that he takes down, it's actually light years. Like, proportionally, the gap between Usopp and the opponents he takes down, like, that gap is way, way, way bigger than what Luffy and Zoro tend to have to overcome. So that's the thing. If you look at all of Usopp's fights, usually in arcs, the three characters that are most injured and most pushed to their limits and most have to have this sort of like spiritual awakening or rise or just great display of will are Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp. You can go to the Chew battle, you can go to the Mr. 4 battle, you can go through like just arc after arc, like that's what it is. Sanji actually, interesting, he has much easier, like Oda does not choose to emphasize this sort of strength of will, strength of spirit, overcoming, enduring stuff as much with Sanji. Sanji's never really written like that. Like, he has his moments where he has to take a lot of damage, that's true, but that's not the staple of who he is. His fights are actually often a lot easier, right? Mr. 2, Jaibura, Absalom. Usually Sanji's fights, and I've talked about this before, a lot of it is like thinking first, so brains and then brawn, and yeah, he's going to take a decent amount of damage over the course of the fight, but he's not like, it's not like Usopp where he ends up in like a full body cast and like x-rays of his brain being shattered and shit like that. You get what I'm saying? And it might sound like I'm equating it too much to like, well, who takes the most damage equals the character with the strongest spirit. And it's not like a 1-to-1 ratio like that. I'm just saying, what are the traits of the characters that Oda chooses to highlight the most? With Sanji, it's never, never, never been his strength of spirit. That's just never been his thing. He is a tough guy because he's one of the monster trio and one of the strongest fighters in the crew. And he does do brave, bold things and everything like that. And he doesn't go down easy. But in terms of these sort of transcendental acts, like nothing happened, or everything Luffy does from Impel Down on, or Usopp during the Mr. 4 battle, right? Those are things that Oda saves for certain characters and certain moments, basically. And so just the way that these characters are written, there's a strong similarity between the sort of like inhuman strength of will that is found in these Conqueror's Haki users. And I think Usopp might simply get it last because similar to Luffy and Zoro, it's not on the surface. That's not who he is on the surface. When you dig deep, deep down, that's the side of Usopp that comes out. And that's what's really cool about his character. So I think, if Usopp dies, I think it would be really cool if Conqueror's Haki comes out for him as he dies. But I don't think that that's something that's going to come out till like the very, very, very end game for this character. So that's basically it. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, nothing much to say. I'm kind of dragging it out a little bit so that like the lag of the stream, where the chat's at and stuff like that, you catch the end of my rant before I close it off. So, thanks, Morge. I'm a big fan of your videos, and I think Usopp is one of the most intense, unique characters in the show. The pirate here says, I would call I Need a Light a transcendental act lol, but I agree for the most part. No, because it was just like he just tanked it. Like, I mean, he was knocked out after it. It's not like it would be if he took it and then got back up. Otherwise, it's just like another really cool Sanji moment. Alright, guys. Talk to you all later. Alright, bye.